Chapter 493. Turning his head, Unwoo saw a girl with a ponytail. She looked very innocent, and her eyes looked like she was 16 or 17 years old. Her black hair fell over her shoulders, and a headband gathered the hair on her forehead, revealing her bright forehead. No need. Fei Yu. Qin Fian walked over and called out to the girl, "Grandpa called you over. What are you doing here?" "Brother, this brother's hand is bleeding. Call the family doctor to bandage it." Fei Yu looked at Yunwoo's hand, which was still bleeding. "Unwoo, are you okay?" Qin Fian also frowned. He didn't care if Unwoo refused, and said to Fei Yu, "Little Yu, call Uncle Wu to call Dr. Zhang over. The glass was cut. We need to see if there are any shards inside." Fei Yu heard her brother's words and hurriedly went to find the housekeeper. Qin Fian took the cup from Yunwoo's hand and threw it in the bin. Looking at the wound on Yunwoo's finger, he said guiltily, "Unwoo, I'm sorry. The quality of this cup is too low." Qin Fian muttered in his heart. Zhuang Yichen, this guy, even said that his nightclub would import a batch of crystal cups from Italy as a gift for the old man's birthday. All the cups used for this banquet would be provided by him. This was not a small sum, but it was so fragile. "Brother Yen, you're too serious. I was careless." Yi Er said that Qin Fian and Unwoo were both delicate men, as beautiful as women. But they were different. If Qin Fian smiled, it was as if he could steal a person's soul. He was so devilish that people couldn't help but want to tease him. As for Enyo, no matter what, he was as indifferent as a pool of water. Just looking at him made one's heart itch, and it was hard to endure. One couldn't bear to say anything unpleasant to his ears. Unwoo saw that the couple had already taken their seats, so he let Qin Fian take the cup in his hand. He swore in his heart, "Yunyi, whether it's white clouds or dark clouds, you can't float out of my sky." Jiang Zhao was a sensitive man. He could sense Yi Er's attitude towards Min Zikai. Even if he had feelings for Min Zikai, it was likely that he had been hurt when he broke off the engagement. He was very satisfied with her performance just now and felt that she should be rewarded. He whispered into her ear, "Mrs. Jiang, I have a gift for you tonight." "What gift?" Yi Er was a little excited. She picked up the glass and took a sip of the juice. "I want to reward you with a new position tonight and give you something new." Yi Er hurriedly covered her mouth and used all her strength to prevent herself from spitting out the juice that had just entered her mouth. Every table was covered with a large tablecloth that almost reached the ground. Yi Er sat beside Jiang Zhao and realized that the man had already pulled the tablecloth lightly and covered her legs. She wanted to shrink back, but her knees were caught by the man's strong hands. Yi Er sat on the stool, allowing the pair of hands under the tablecloth to do whatever they wanted. Her face was flushed red. Unwoo chose to sit at the same table as Jiang Zhao and Jiang Zhao. From time to time, he would exchange a few words with Yi Er and Jiang Zhao. Min Zikai seemed to be unwilling to give up. He wanted to sit at the same table as Yi Er, but his mother stopped him. At the same table sat Jiang Zhao, Yi Er, Qin Fei Yu, Qin Fian, Unwoo, Jiang Rui, and Xiang Wan. When Xingtingting came, it could be described as a passing breeze. Last night, she wanted to come no matter what. However, Xing Weiguo ordered her to stay at home because Xingtingting threatened not to let Jiang Zhao get married smoothly. Great, now that the marriage certificate had been taken, no matter how much she struggled, it would be useless. Today was the birthday. She called Qin Rongfang and said that she wanted to come to the birthday celebration. How could Qin Rongfang not agree? He even scolded Xing Weiguo, saying that how could he discipline his child like this? He must bring Tingting over for dinner. Qin Rongfang had no choice. Even if he knew that there would be some commotion today, he had to agree. He could not be so narrow-minded. Xingtingting came to the birthday celebration, but she only said a few auspicious words to Qin Rongfang. Then she went to Jiang Zhao's table and threw her handbag on the table. She did not care about the eyes of others and directly sat down on the chair next to Jiang Zhao. Yi Er was not worried about Xing Tingting at all. She could intuitively feel that Jiang Zhao would not like this kind of girl. Although she pretended to be a lady outside, she could not bear loneliness and could not bear it for long. Unlike her, she could bear it all the way until the end, leaving Jiang Zhao speechless. However, Xing Tingting was too ferocious. Her retaliation was too severe. Jiang Zhao would not like such a girl. If he wanted to guard against her, he should guard against the virtuous northern city golden silk bird beside his grandfather. Xing Tingting was indeed as Yi Er thought. She was impatient. She had a good reputation outside, but that was because she did not appear for long. Now, with Mrs. Temper and her resentment towards Jiang Zhao and Yi Er, she said that it was an engagement. It had only been a day, but they had already gotten their marriage certificate. It was infuriating. The words that came out of her mouth were very sharp and unkind. The table was round. As long as she tilted her head and leaned forward slightly, she could see past Jiang Zhao and see Yi Er. She said angrily, "Yin Yi, do you think you can be a phoenix just because you climbed up the tree? Haven't you heard that a plucked phoenix is inferior to a chicken?" Unwu frowned and lowered his eyelashes to prevent others from seeing the change in his emotions. He slowly clenched his fists. He knew about the Yun family's affairs and could understand what she meant when she lied on the grass and said that she had sold herself to him. Other than heartache, there was nothing else. If it were his woman, he would never allow others to humiliate her at such an event. Jiang Zhao's face darkened. He turned his head and was about to scold her when Yi Er grabbed his hand and tugged at it, signaling him not to speak. At this moment, Yi Er had a bright smile on her face. She held Jiang Zhao's arm and intimately leaned over. She said to Xing Tingting, "I know that I'm inferior to Miss Tseng. I've never denied it." In an instant, everyone at the table spat out wine, water, and whatever else came out of their mouths. However, they hurriedly grabbed their napkins to block it. Everyone went pft. Unwu immediately laughed. If Yi Er was a plucked phoenix, then wouldn't Xing Tingting be a chicken? Jiang Zhao squeezed Yi Er's hand and stroked it with his other hand. Yes, his woman should be like this. How could he let others bully her? He could bully her, but not others. No matter if it was a man or a woman. Yi Er held Jiang Zhao's arm as if no one else was around. She looked at Xing Tingting talking to Jiang Zhao. "Hubby, a phoenix has plucked its feathers. You have to buy more clothes for her to wear. Even if she can't be a phoenix, she should at least look like a peacock." However, Jiang Zhao lowered his head and whispered in her ear, "It's better if she doesn't wear it. She doesn't have to take it off." When Yi Er heard Jiang Zhao's perverted words, she instantly felt discouraged. She lowered her head and said softly, "I'm hungry." Just as she finished speaking, she heard Jiang Zhao's low voice again. "I'll feed you at night. I'll make sure you're full. Don't worry." Yi Er started to pretend that she didn't hear anything. Xing Tingting was fuming. She was scolded, but everyone treated her as a joke. Jiang Zhao didn't even take it seriously. Jiang Rui and Xiang Wan pretended that they didn't see what they were talking about. Unwu liked Yi Er more and more. Since Grandpa didn't allow them to be so brazen, he wanted her to come to him willingly one day and leave him willingly. Very good, Xing Tingting. Compared to Xing Tingting, Ouyang Yan was much more well-behaved. She didn't provoke them and didn't come over to look for trouble. Many people toasted Qin Rongfang, and Ouyang Yan was even more considerate than her own granddaughter. Qin Fian looked over and said helplessly, "Brother, it's really inappropriate. Sister Yan's surname isn't Qin yet. She's busy over there. I'll go over and help her. You're a newlywed, take your time to enjoy it." Brother, sister-in-law, I'll go over to Grandpa's place first. Qin Fian stood up and greeted them. Jiang Rui said, go ahead. Qin Fian patted Yunwa's shoulder again. Wu, I'm sorry for not serving you well. Wu shook his head and smiled. Brother Yen, you're always so formal. Go ahead. Qin Fian lifted his butt and Fei Yu sat beside Wu. The little girl blinked her eyes. Your grandpa, she's grandson. Is your hand better? Why didn't you bandage it? Wu saw that Fei Yu wanted to reach out to him, so he took the opportunity to put his injured hand on his thigh. I'm not used to being bandaged, and it's uncomfortable. The doctor has already disinfected it. It's fine now that the bleeding has stopped. I'm sorry to have made little Yu worried. Yi Er heard that and quickly turned to look at Wu. She stood up and walked over, asking with concern, Wu is injured. Wu stretched out his hand from his thigh and showed it to Yi Er. He smiled indifferently. It was cut by the broken glass just now. Yi Er held Yunwa's hand and looked at the wound on his slender index finger. It wasn't bleeding badly, but it felt wet. Wu closed his mouth and breathed slowly. He felt his hand in her palm. He didn't have to do that. He could have held her hand and strolled around, experiencing the joy brought by her laughter. It was a feeling that he hadn't experienced for more than 10 years. He missed it for a while, but he couldn't miss it forever. He looked at his hand, and his nose was filled with the scent of her perfume. The fragrance was different from the thin layer of makeup on her face. It was faint and lingered in his mind. How can you not bandage it? It'll definitely be infected. How can you be so stubborn? Yi Er's tone sounded like she was talking to her younger brother, Si Jia. She was worried, angry, and scolding. Then she turned to leave. I'm going to find something to bandage it for you. Wait here. Jiang Zhao walked over to Yi Er's side and pulled her back to her seat. He called out to a servant. I'll have to trouble Dr. Zhang to come over and bandage young Master Yunwa's wound. Wu thought for a moment. This time, he didn't refuse. He had been too pleased with himself just now. Jiang Zhao couldn't escape Yunwa's little actions. When Fei Yu wanted to take a look for him, he withdrew his hand. However, Yi had only asked him a question and he had already extended his hand. And Yi Er was so concerned about him. Just as Jiang Zhao's thoughts were slowly sinking, Wu chuckled and said, It's good to bandage it. If my girlfriend sees it tomorrow, she'll disturb me again. I'm really afraid of her. Wasn't she disturbing him like this right now? She hated him for being stubborn and was afraid he'd be infected. Was this what a girlfriend was like? Everyone could hear Yunwa's tone. If that girl was next to him, he would definitely rub her hair very, very lovingly. This boy who usually looked at everyone the same way had a gorgeous light in his eyes. Jiang Zhao thought he was seeing things. When he looked at Yi Er again, she looked relieved and relieved. He really thought too much. It was normal for people to leave at a banquet. But in a rich and powerful family, there were many people trying to curry favor. It was already past 11, but the crowd was still there. Jiang Zhao naturally had more to deal with. Welfare, Hongcha 866. Chapter 494. When a man looked for another man to talk about important matters, he would send his wife to accompany another man's wife. They would either gossip or play mahjong. Those who looked for Yi Er were more gossipy. Yi Er came from a wealthy family, so she knew that she shouldn't talk too much. She stopped at a certain point. Actually, she didn't know much about Jiang Zhao, and those who tried to worm their way into being friends with her wanted to know more about his policies. Yi Er avoided the topic perfectly. Mrs. Li, what are you talking about? I don't know much about men's affairs. No wonder there are so few women in politics. Just listening to the news gives me a headache. It wasn't until Yi Er was called away by Ouyang Yen that the troublesome social interactions ended. Yi Er didn't want to go, but she didn't want to lose the battle. The flower rack in the backyard was too annoying. Yi Er didn't go over and stood at the doorway. Speak. Ouyang Yen could feel her impoliteness towards Ouyang Yen. Do you have a problem with me? Yi Er shrugged. No problem. It would be weird if she didn't have a problem. A mistress was so arrogant. Ouyang Yen worked in the prosecutor's office. Not only did she handle anti-corruption cases, but she also handled appeals from the Public Security Bureau. She was more observant, analytical, and discerning than most women. Yi Er's hostility towards her was too obvious, even though she tried to hide it. The older the ginger, the spicier it was. Yi Er knew how to conduct herself, but she still hadn't learned how to be a mistress in front of a mistress. Ouyang Yen tried to sound her out. She spoke first with a hint of provocation. I'm staying at Qingbei condominium. Yi Er got angry when she heard this. What's so great about you? You're just a mistress. Besides, I don't want to live in the apartment in the north of the city anymore. I'm just giving you the place where I used to sleep. Ouyang Yen suddenly smiled brightly. Yi Er was still young after all. His words were filled with jealousy and he had already revealed too much information. Ouyang Yen carefully analyzed the other party's mentality and probed further. A mistress isn't a big deal, but what if the person the man loves is a mistress? Then you can continue to be loved by him like this. Continue to be a golden bird in the north of the city. Yi Er had always been wary of the existence of the Ouyang Yen, but she didn't know that this woman would be so shameless as to confront her directly. She wanted to keep the peace, but she didn't give her a chance. Ouyang Yen could finally confirm that Yunyi definitely did not know that she and Jiang Zhao were not really together. Yes, they were not together. She came back and bought baby's breath and lilac to tell him that she missed him very, very much. If not for this Yunyi, the one getting the marriage certificate with Jiang Zhao would be her, Ouyang Yen. Jiang Zhao married Yunyi because he was forced by circumstances. Maybe they were not as good as they looked, and they were just putting on an act. If not, why would Yunyi treat her like this? Ouyang Yen said. I want to make a deal with you. Yi Er flatly refused, not interested. Ouyang Yen said confidently. It is related to your father. Oh. Yi Er finally looked at Ouyang Yen. Your father's case is still with the Public Security Bureau, and there is no appeal to the prosecutor's office. There is something fishy about this case. Jiang Zhao is only a deputy mayor and is not a member of the standing committee. If he helped your father and did not harm his and the Qin family's interests, your father would have been tortured to death. I have a solution for your father's case, and I don't want to drag Jiang Zhao into this. Ouyang Yen was not a fool. Yi Er was jealous because she cared about Jiang Zhao. What if she used the best of both worlds to tempt her? Yi Er took a deep breath and asked. What do you want? Ouyang Yan's picturesque eyebrows held a faint smile, but it carried a trace of coldness. She stood in front of Yi Er and tilted her chin slightly forward as she slowly said, I want Jiang Zhao. I want him to belong to me alone. I don't want to be a prostitute in the north of the city. I want to be the legitimate Mrs. Jiang. You, ask for a divorce from him. Yi Er just stood there. She was considered to be very tall among girls, but she was still very tall. She was still wearing high heels and a mature gown. She stood there and felt that her height was shrinking. The backyard door was smaller than the front door, but there was still a red lantern hanging on the lintel to show the festive mood from yesterday. The lantern would be hanging for a few more days. It was because old Master Qin's precious grandson was getting engaged. That granddaughter-in-law was standing under the lantern, and her face was red. Yi Er knew that her breathing was a little unstable. She just looked at the woman in front of her. This woman was 4 or 5 centimeters shorter than her, but that kind of arrogance and confidence rushed up from the bottom of her feet. No matter how she looked at her, she was a person who stood aloof from worldly affairs. But this woman was fighting with her for a man. She was using the most important man in her life to fight. She didn't know how this woman did it. Even when she was threatening people like this, she was still calm and collected, just like Jiang Zhao. No matter what she did, she could do it without panicking. There was absolutely no flaw in it. She was clearly the one wearing a gorgeous evening gown today and was helping her grandfather receive the guests as a member of the Qin family. Ouyang Yan was just a guest, but she treated everyone like a member of the family. She was polite and courteous to everyone. Everyone said that she didn't look like an inspector, but a gentle and virtuous housewife. Didn't she want to be Jiang Zhao's wife? Ouyang Yan was undoubtedly arrogant. Her arrogance was different from Xingtingting's. Xingtingting's arrogance didn't have any foundation and only made people find it funny. Ouyang Yan was like a strategist, like a chess player who could see through the game. Once upon a time, she also sat arrogantly in front of Jiang Zhao and threatened him. Jiang Zhao asked her for her conditions. She said that she wanted to reduce her father's sentence. Otherwise, she would spread all those photos. But what she got was ruthless revenge. Ouyang Yan. This eyesore, how could she take revenge on her? What a joke. Why should I not trust my husband and trust you? Why do you think you can threaten me? Because you are a mistress. Because I am now firmly in the position of Mrs. Jiang. Because you only dare to threaten me and ask me to divorce my husband in such a place. Are you threatening me? Who do you think you are? Yi Er was almost imitating Jiang Zhao's tone to fight back against Ouyang Yan. She could only use the word husband to replace Jiang Zhao with the word husband to declare her status and to increase her confidence. She had to learn to use the imposing manner of a fox borrowing the tiger's might to resist the other party with an aggressive aura. She had no choice. She was forced to this point and was so blatantly forced by a mistress. She had to defend what she wanted to defend. Even if this marriage was obtained through improper means, she still had to defend it. Miss from a prestigious family like Ouyang Yan could also swallow her anger and be a mistress. Even if she wanted to be promoted to the main wife, she did not dare to make trouble with Jiang Zhao. Why? Was it because she was afraid that Jiang Zhao would hate her? She knew that Jiang Zhao would not like a woman like Xingtingting who did not know how to endure. A man like him who had lived a good life since he was young and had an excellent career development was arrogant and looked down on everything. How could he allow a woman to climb over his head? Ouyang Yan knew the logic behind this. So she had been enduring and being an obedient person until she avoided everyone's eyes before coming to find her. She did not directly find Jiang Zhao to make trouble, but instead came to find her. Wasn't it said that a smart mistress would persuade a man not to divorce because she was willing to suffer? On the surface, Ouyang Yan was willing to suffer in front of Jiang Zhao, but behind her back, she came to provoke and coerce. What did Ouyang Yan say? The person the man loved was a mistress. She did not care if there was any love between them. Even if she could not get his love, she would get his person. She had always felt that Jiang Zhao was not a good person from the beginning, but now she liked this bad person. She knew that he was a pervert, he was a hypocrite, he was an out-and-out cunning man. He would not make a losing deal, he would only do things for his own benefit. She was also not a good woman from the beginning. She threatened, he took revenge, she resisted, and he attacked. She had an impure motive to interact with him step by step and make a deal with him. They each took what they needed. She relied on his power and he enjoyed her body. They both felt that it was natural and no one owed the other. But he was much better than those sanctimonious men. Even if he did not promise, he would do what he had to do. He would not brush her off. Min Zikai was her ex-fiancé. When she needed help the most, the family Min broke off the engagement. That man left just like that without even a word of comfort. His mother abandoned everyone and fled far away. When the company closed down, she was not even 18 years old and had to run to various judicial departments. She did not know anything. To repay the debts, she could only rely on the family's real estate. She sold the houses one by one and dealt with the factory and company. She wanted to be like those girls on TV who suddenly stood up when her father's company was about to close down and turned the tide. But she felt that it was very difficult. She could not. She did not understand financial statements, did not know management, and did not know how to communicate with the shareholders. When the workers went on strike, she could not do anything. She could only find a lawyer to auction and transfer. She lost everything that her father had worked hard for. She took the only property that her father could not sell, the old house that her brother lived in 80 years ago. She struggled for so long. Even if Jiang Zhao suppressed her in all aspects and attacked her in all aspects, he was the only man who had given her the most substantial and direct help. Now, this man was her husband. Suddenly, a woman appeared and wanted to snatch it from her like this. She wanted her to pack up and leave. No way. Ouyang Yan was a woman who had a deep understanding of people's hearts. She had faced many people. Communicating, digging, and finding clues were her strengths. Every look in Yi Er's eyes, whether the soles of her feet were on the ground, whether her breath was trembling when she spoke, whether her fists were clenched unnaturally, or whether her tone was weak and she was trying to hide her emotions. Nothing could escape her eyes. Why? Because I've been with him for more than 10 years. Because when I wasn't by his side, those things in the apartment in the north of the city were still things that I bought for him. The clock on the wall, the sofa at home, the tie in the wardrobe. Based on the fact that Xing Tingting learned how to please Jiang Zhao like me, based on the fact that Ouyang Yan's tone was unhurried, and the speed of her speech was getting slower and slower. She followed Yi Er's eyes and did not relax at all. Based on the fact that even if he married you, he would still be with me. It was one thing for Yi Er to know that Jiang Zhao had someone in his heart, but it was another thing for a mistress to openly provoke him like this. She was thinking, what would happen if Ouyang Yan went out to greet the guests with the fingerprints on her face? Would she cry and complain about how she was beaten up? Would she run to Jiang Zhao to take advantage of him? The key was Grandpa. It seemed like Grandpa was very satisfied with Ouyang Yan. There were many people who were against this marriage, especially the Qin family. If she slapped her, she would definitely hit the muzzle of a gun. She was afraid that she would not be able to bear the consequences. Attention, Songshu 566. Chapter 495. Yi Er felt that Ouyang Yan was a shrewd woman. She knew that Jiang Zhao didn't like troublesome women, so she asked her to propose a divorce. By then, not only would Jiang Zhao's reputation be affected, but he would also think that she was insensible and fall into Ouyang Yan's arms. She wouldn't be so stupid. Yi Er waved her hands in front of her, but she was a hooligan. Ha, Ouyang Yan, you can't provoke me. If you have the ability, go find Jiang Zhao and ask him to propose a divorce. But let me tell you, I won't agree. I like to make a big deal out of things. You wretched mistress, bring it on. Ouyang Yan didn't expect any progress in this matter, but she felt that tonight's conversation wasn't in vain. She couldn't find anything useful from Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao's thoughts were too deep, and his eyes were too sharp. She couldn't find any weakness in his speech and behavior, so she couldn't figure him out. But this Yunyi was only 19 years old. It was impossible for her to be as experienced as Jiang Zhao. It seemed that the relationship between the two of them wasn't very good. She still had a chance. Yunyi, don't be so smug. Anyway, the person Jiang Zhao loves is me. I have all the time to wait. but I think you should go and see your father. The engagement is such a good thing. How can you not inform him? Although visiting takes time, I have some connections. I can lend you a back door. Can you go and see him tomorrow? When Yi Er heard Ouyang Yan's high-spirited tone, she wanted to strangle her. Her father was suffering in prison, but this woman still talked so energetically in front of her. It wasn't that she didn't want to go and tell her father the good news, or go and see him. But she had just married Jiang Zhao. There were some requests that she didn't dare to make, and she didn't dare to make excessive requests in the Qin family. Ouyang Yan, this damned woman. No. Yi Er stubbornly wanted to say no. Ouyang Yan replied quickly. She had always been gentle when she spoke. Now that she was talking to Yi Er, her words were like a gentle knife. You don't know this, but the way the police handle cases is different from the way we handle cases in the procuratorate. The procuratorate attitude is famous for being very good. They ask questions, investigate, and are very patient. When the police want to close a case, they will often use torture to extort a confession. You also know that your father is not even 50 years old. Your father is also quite manly. He stubbornly held on for so long and refused to admit it. He said that he would never let his son and daughter be tainted with the name of a criminal father and go out to be judged by others. He must be dreaming, right? I'm afraid the news of your marriage with Jiang Zhao has spread overnight. Yun Yi, do you think that your marriage with Jiang Zhao will be of great help to your father? Maybe someone can't sit still anymore. Your father's case might be closed in a few days. At such a critical time, it's normal for him to suffer some physical pain. How could Yi Er withstand such provocation? Before she married Jiang Zhao, her weakness was her younger brother and father. Every time she visited them in prison, they comforted each other. However, when had she not seen her father's old age with her own eyes? Torture to extort a confession. Physical pain. No matter how heartless she was, it was impossible for her to remain calm when she heard that her father was going to be tortured. Ouyang Yan, I will save my father. Yi Er took a deep breath and exhaled. Jiang Zhao. I want him too. You're dreaming. Ouyang Yan did not care that Yi Er's eyes were already filled with pain. She said disdainfully, you're really able to endure staying with a man who doesn't love you. Yi Er's lips twitched. Same here. When Ouyang Yan saw Yi Er's stiff body leave, a victorious smile appeared on her lips. After the crowd dispersed, Yi Er and Jiang Zhao returned to the old neighborhood. She knew that she had already lost her heart in this deal with Jiang Zhao, but she couldn't win his heart. It didn't matter. She wanted what he wanted. Today, her original intention was to ruthlessly squeeze him to prevent him from going out and having an affair. However, no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't rouse her interest. When Jiang Zhao kissed her, she was distracted. When he teased her, his entire body was stiff. Jiang Zhao had always been a proud person, including in bed. He just couldn't understand why this woman was like this today. He couldn't feel the slightest bit of passion or interest from her. Yin Yi, what do you mean? Finally, after many failed attempts, Jiang Zhao couldn't take it anymore and shouted. Yi Er was dumbfounded by Jiang Zhao's shout. Seeing that Jiang Zhao was angry, Yi Er ruffled her hair. Then she hugged him perfunctorily and kissed him. Her mind was still filled with Ouyang Yan's words. Your father is aging every time, being tortured to extort a confession, suffering physical pain. She had already experienced the extreme joy of having sex with a man and a woman. It was a way to completely let go of herself. However, at this moment, she couldn't immerse herself in it. She seemed to see her father in a bloody mess being tortured by the prison guards. She imagined that in the interrogation room, the interrogator would definitely be cold-faced and force the prisoner to confess to more crimes. Perhaps he would kick them, or they would punch and kick them, or they wouldn't give them food, and so on. When Yi Er hugged Jiang Zhao and kissed him, her entire body started to tremble. Jiang Zhao threw Yi Er away and quickly put on his clothes. He always knew that Yi Er was a woman who could act. She used her acting skills to suppress her dissatisfaction and anger towards him. Under the skin of a little white rabbit was the body of a real fox. He buttoned his shirt and said lightly, "If you don't want to do it, then don't make things difficult for yourself with that disgusting look." Yi Er couldn't focus. Even when Jiang Zhao threw her away, she didn't feel anything. Until she heard the metal door slam open. Her body bounced and she saw that the bed was empty. The man was gone. After being stunned for a while, she heard the sound of a car engine starting downstairs. She jumped off the bed barefooted and ran to the balcony. When she bent down, she saw the black A8's headlights shining brightly downstairs. When the car was reversing, the brake light at the back of the car turned red. After a while, it stopped. Jiang Zhao. Yi Er watched the car drive away. Her lips were trembling. When she called out the man's name, her entire body was trembling. Did he go to the north of the city? It was good for a man to be like him. He could sit and enjoy the happiness of having multiple wives. If she didn't find comfort here, she could go elsewhere. Yi Er turned around and sat on the ground. This was just the beginning of her life. How could she continue in the future? She was married to such a powerful man, but she didn't even dare to ask to see her father. She was afraid that he would be angry. But why couldn't she ask? He treated her as a woman who was forced to marry for her father. Why couldn't she use such resources? Anyway, she couldn't afford to love him. He didn't care that she treated him well. If she continued to think too highly of herself, she would only get worse and worse. She couldn't do anything well. If she delayed her father, she would live a miserable life. She had to get something, didn't she? She found her phone and called Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao had just driven out of the neighborhood when he heard his phone ring. He held the phone in his hand and looked at the caller ID. He steadied his breath and finally let out a sigh of relief. He stopped the car by the side. A woman's calm voice came from the other end. "I don't care if you want to go to her place in the north of the city. But you promised to help my father. You can't forget. I want to visit him tomorrow. Is that okay?" Jiang Zhao's expression changed immediately. He shouted into the phone, "Get lost." He threw the phone fiercely. It hit the glass of the front right door and bounced onto the front passenger seat. Jiang Zhao rubbed his temples. His head was hurting. When he left, she didn't react at all. He even waited for a while, waiting for her to tell him. Who exactly did she see tonight that made her look like a ghost? Min Zikai. He asked her, but she didn't answer. She just mumbled, as if she was admitting it. Now, she didn't ask him what he was doing, where he was going, or whether he was going back. She asked him to go to the north of the city. She didn't care where he was going. Even if he changed women every day, she wouldn't have the slightest reaction as a wife, right? Jiang Zhao drank a few glasses of wine with Zhuang Yichen at the Zhaojun Club. In Jiang Zhao's words, Zhuang Yichen could only be a friend. If he was an enemy, he had to torture him to death. He couldn't stop until he was dead. Otherwise, if he retaliated, it would be a devastating event. Zhuang Yichen clinked his glass with Jiang Zhao's. He teased, "Congratulations, Mr. Jiang. Why aren't you accompanying Mrs. Jiang at this hour? How lonely must Mrs. Jiang be?" Jiang Zhao retorted, "Mrs. Jiang is helping Qiu Xiaoya find a man in a pile of photos. She said that she can't let her good sister be single. She must marry Qiu Xiaoya off as soon as possible. She's too busy." The corners of Zhuang Yichen's eyes twitched slightly. He smiled like a peach blossom. If you ask me, Brother Zhao, you're a classic example of shooting yourself in the foot. You're a bad example. I can't help it. Xia Qian and Qiu Shaoye are smart. Jiang Zhao smiled and put down the cup. He leaned back on the sofa and crossed his legs. His legs that were on the floor were tiptoeing, and his legs that were hanging on his knees were twirling like a big boss. Qiu Xiaoya's brain is really good. How could Xia Qian and Yun Yi come up with such clever ideas? No wonder Kang Yiyun likes them. They're a good match. When I took Mrs. Jiang to choose a dress, I saw Kang Yiyun looking at Qiu Xiaoya with honey in her eyes. Ha! The peach blossom in Zhuang Yichen's eyes slowly disappeared. Let's get down to business. Jiang Zhao said straightforwardly, get involved in Yun Hongwei's matter first and drag it out from the side. We can't mess with the Qin family's connections now. Otherwise, the impact will be too great. I think someone will make a move on him in the next 2 days. Jiang Zhao and Zhuang Yichen were like this. 1 second, they were talking and laughing, and the next second, the situation suddenly changed. They had long been used to such tacit changes. Benefits. Zhuang Yichen simply said 2 names. He raised his eyebrows at the end of his words. Jiang Zhao bent over and used his fingers to stroke the dice in front of him, as if he was seriously playing a game of Go that was densely packed with chess pieces. His handsome brows revealed an unhurried boldness of having no regrets. Zhuang Yifeng's Shoreline Phase 3 plates are being sold at such a low price. What do you think? Zhuang Yichen's eyes narrowed slightly. I know there's something fishy going on, but I don't think Zhuang Yifeng would sell it at such a low price. His uncle, old Jiang, is the president of the bank. I also don't think he's in a hurry to sell it because of the tofu dregs project. Jiang Zhao was still playing with the dice. He said calmly, I'll throw you a line that can beat Zhuang Yifeng to a pulp. You can be more ruthless and let him spend his next life in prison or give him the death penalty. You can also drag your father into it. I'll help you smooth it out from the side. How about it? Zhuang Yichen's sitting posture was leaning forward with his elbows on his legs. He looked up at Jiang Zhao with a smile and said straightforwardly, deal. Jiang Zhao pushed Zhuang Yichen's shoulder and pushed him to the side. He laughed loudly. Don't look at me like that. No matter how handsome you are, I won't fall in love with you. Beauty Novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 496. Zhuang Yichen sat up straight and laughed. He straightened his black shirt and did not look at Jiang Zhao. He picked up the bottle and poured wine into the 2 crystal glasses in front of him. His movements were a little slow, and so were his words. Brother Zhao, you used to tell me not to rush for quick success and instant benefits, but this time, you left in too much of a hurry. It doesn't matter if you're in a hurry. The key is to be steady. Aren't you afraid that I'll go astray? I believe in you. You believe in me so much for a woman. Jiang Zhao avoided the question and answered lightly, I've always believed in your ability. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken a fancy to you. Zhuang Yichen snorted. He pinched the shirt over his heart and moved back. He glared at Jiang Zhao. Don't mess around. It's useless even if you take a fancy to me. Ha! After Jiang Zhao left Peerless Beauty, he went to a hotel and checked into a room. He looked at his phone from time to time. It was very quiet. He used to think that the woman was very cute when she was clever because he could see through her thoughts at a glance. She was like a little fox that could perform in the palm of his hand. In any case, he watched whatever she acted. It was really a pleasure. He was immersed in her performance for a period of time and wanted to watch it every day. But recently, he realized that he could not see through her. He did not know why, but he could not understand what she was thinking. He did not even know what he was thinking. A fox was a fox, not a rabbit. He had never heard of a fox having feelings. Foxes were carnivores and had sharp teeth. Forget it. He did not want to think about that. What else could he do? He would just continue like this. He really hoped that one day, he would not want to do anything for her anymore. That would be good. This kind of fickle woman was really not to be touched. The next morning, Jiang Zhao asked Lu Qing to arrange for Yun Hongwei to meet with Yi Er. Lu Qing came back from the prison and stood in front of Jiang Zhao's big desk with a serious expression. "Boss, I suggest that we don't let Yi Er visit her father." Jiang Zhao knew that Lu Qing wanted to report the situation to him, so he didn't raise his head. At this time, he was still holding the pen. Hearing Lu Cheng's words, he looked up. His clothes were neat and tidy, and his facial features were resolute. There was a faint tiredness in his eyes, but at this time, he was in high spirits. Even his gaze was sharper. Oh. Last night, they interrogated Yun Hongwei. He was forced to confess, and there were many injuries on his body. Most importantly, his injuries were more serious, unlike the previous times when he only had minor injuries. His clothes could cover them, and Yun Hongwei also covered them up well. This time, he couldn't cover them up. "I'm afraid that Yi Er won't be able to take it. I'm guessing that they can't wait any longer." Jiang Zhao frowned and his eyes darkened. He threw the pen in his hand onto the table and stood up from the chair with a whoosh. F***ck, he rubbed the area around his mouth and chin with one hand and supported his waist with the other. He walked out. He was very tall, and in a short while, he walked back and forth in the room. Jiang Zhao was like this, frowning deeply as he paced back and forth in the office. His pace was fast and slow, making Lu Qing dizzy. "Lu Qing, let them know. They can interrogate him, but I don't think they want to make a big deal out of this. Take care of yourself. Also, think of a way to get him out on medical parole as soon as possible." Lu Qing nodded in agreement, then went out and closed the door. Jiang Zhao pondered over Lu Cheng's words. If Yi Er saw this, would she be able to take it? He knew that she had always been strong, and forcing a smile was her specialty. But it was better not to put on such an act. His phone rang. It was Yi Er. He thought for a while and picked it up. "Hello. Did you sleep well last night?" Yi Er's voice was a little hoarse. "Pretty good. How about you?" Yi Er choked and said calmly, "Not bad." Both of them were silent for a while, then Yi Er said again, "I want to see my father." "Is that okay?" "Wait for my arrangements," Jiang Zhao said. Yi Er sat on the bed and reached out to touch the water stains on her face. "How long will it take?" "Very soon." After hanging up the phone, Yi Er was still sitting on the bed. She had been sitting on the bed like this the whole night, thinking about how they were together, who was on top, how he teased her, how he teased her, how he kissed her, and how he was together with Ouyang Yen. She felt like she was going crazy. She wanted to rush to the apartment in the north of the city and drag her man out, but when she thought about what he said in the car before they got married, she ran downstairs several times and then went upstairs. He slept well, but she didn't sleep the whole night. Her phone rang. It was an unknown number. She pressed it once, but it rang again and again. Yi Er was impressed by the other party's perseverance and picked it up. "Hello. Yun Yi, what do you think of the conditions I mentioned yesterday?" "Ouyang Yen, are you very proud? It's only been one night, and you're already so proud. I won't give him to you. Dream on. You're destined to be a mistress for the rest of your life." Yi Er's voice was trembling fiercely. She wondered how her enemy could be so powerful. She wasn't even 20 years old, but they had arranged such a scheming female supporting character for her. She felt that she couldn't win against her and was about to be reduced to cannon fodder. Ouyang Yen was stunned for a while, then suddenly laughed and said very alertly, "There's no other way. Let's not talk about him. Let's talk about your father. Do you want me to help you?" "No." Ouyang Yan's voice was light. "Is that so? Yun Hongwei was forced to confess last night. Do you want to go and see him today? His whole body is injured and there's blood everywhere. The most serious injuries are on his back and abdomen, and there are large gashes. He's really a man. I don't know how many more days this man, who's almost 50 years old, can struggle." Just like that, Yi listened to a woman describe her father's sufferings in an extremely contemptuous manner. She felt like she was being split open, as if someone had used a rusty blunt sword to stab her from the forehead. Her entire body was being cut open slowly, like a seesaw. It was so painful that she wanted someone to give her a quick death. It would be better than struggling like this. She finally shouted at Ouyang Yen, "Ouyang Yen! You stinky woman who won't die a good death. The one who won't die a good death now isn't me. Yun Yi, you're just..." Yi hung up the phone and slammed onto the bed. Then, he weakly collapsed onto the bed. No wonder immortals couldn't fall in love. The general idea was that it would affect their cultivation. Immortals were so powerful that they could torment mortals in any way they wanted. They were emotionless and had no desires, so their magic power was boundless. Look at her. She wanted to save her father, but she couldn't harden her heart to force Jiang Zhao into a corner and make him give in. She was forced into a dead end. She didn't want to give Jiang Zhao to her love rival, but she didn't have the ability to ignore her love rival's threat. Jiang Zhao asked her to wait, but Ouyang Yen said that he could arrange for her to meet him today. Yi tugged at her hair, tugged hard, and then slapped herself. Today was Friday. She was going to pick up her brother, but she felt like she was going to die. She couldn't get out of bed and didn't even have the strength to get up. 10 kfm. She needs to get out of bed and pick up her phone to call Zhengling or someone else to pick up Xijia. She got out of bed and thought of something. If the mayor's secretary knew that the mayor's wife was not feeling well, would he tell the mayor about it? She called Lu Qing. "Lu Qing, can you help me pick up Xijia in the afternoon? Zhengling should be very busy at the studio. It should be easier for you to slip away." When Lu Qing picked up the phone, he was standing in front of Jiang Zhao and told Jiang Zhao that it was Yi. He looked at Jiang Zhao and laughed. "Are you asking my boss to deduct my salary? I'm not feeling well. I'm worried that I have low blood sugar. I feel dizzy when I get out of bed. I want to go to the hospital, but I'm afraid I can't pick up Xijia in time." As soon as Yi finished speaking, Lu Cheng's phone was taken away by Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao's expression was not good. He was about to say something, but when he saw Lu Qing beside him, he swallowed his words and said coldly, "Stay at home and don't go anywhere." Jiang Zhao sped all the way to Yi's neighborhood. Since when did this woman have low blood sugar? She even feels dizzy and needs to be hospitalized. The first time Jiang Zhao moved in, he had taken the spare keys from Yi's drawer. When he entered the bedroom, he saw Yi curled up on the bed. Her hair was messy, and her face was pale. He was so angry that he wanted to give her a tight slap. But when he wanted to slap her, he kneeled on the bed and carried her in his arms. "You didn't eat." Yi's lips were dry and cracked. She snuggled into his arms and said weakly, "I'm so dizzy that I don't have the strength to get out of bed." When she smelled Jiang Zhao's scent, it was as if she had eaten mustard. Her eyes were about to open. She hugged his waist and tugged at his clothes. "Ah, Zhao, I miss my father. I miss my father. I dreamed that he was having a hard time." Jiang Zhao felt his heart soften again. He couldn't harden his heart after being tortured by this woman. I'm thinking of a way. Don't worry. He knew that this was a bit far-fetched. He felt like a jerk to tell a woman who had been running around for her father for almost 2 years not to worry. But in her current state, if she saw her father being tortured, would she break down? Ah Zhao, let's have dinner with Si Jie tonight. Yi Er hugged Jiang Zhao tighter. She thought about Ouyang Yan's words and sometimes even gritted her teeth. We're engaged. He's still in school. He won't make it in time, I know. I'll go pick him up later, okay? Okay. Yi Er paused and added, let's go together. I might have fainted from hunger. Lie down for a while. I'll go downstairs to pack a wonton for you. Eat something and I'll take you to the hospital. We can't drag it out if you're not feeling well. Yi Er hugged Jiang Zhao and refused to let go. She bit the man's shirt and sobbed, Ah Zhao, I'm sorry for last night. I missed my father. I didn't mean to provoke you. Don't be angry with me, okay? Jiang Zhao took a deep breath. He hugged Yi Er's head and pressed it against his chest. Actually, it was good. They still had her father. They could be connected like this. At least she would continue acting with him for her father's sake. Last night, he had been thinking about why she didn't call to ask about it. Or why she didn't catch the traitor like other women and have a big fight like a shrew. That way, she could at least prove that she cared about him even a little bit. She didn't greet him even when the sun rose. Lu Qing said that Yun Hongwei was injured. He was afraid that she would be upset. Looking at her now, he was even more certain that he couldn't let her know. He would tell her after he was released for medical treatment and his injuries were better. She wasn't feeling well and had asked Lu Qing to pick her brother up. She didn't tell him that her role was to help her father. Forget it. He couldn't be bothered. Who asked him to rush over as soon as he heard that she was suffering from low blood sugar and couldn't get out of bed? She was his nemesis. She had jinxed him to death. Welfare, Hongcha 866. Chapter 497. He decided to put Yi Er on his lap so that her head could rest on his shoulder. He took 2 pieces of tissue from the bedside table to wipe her tears and patted her back to comfort her. Okay, be good. Don't cry anymore. You're crying so hard. Do you have a faucet in your eyes? Let's take Si Jia out to buy some presents tonight. Our wedding is such a big event and we didn't get him anything. He should have gotten us something. Don't get it wrong. You're so naughty. You're so calculative with your own brother. Ah Zhao, why don't you sleep here tonight? You're my husband now and my brother is home. You can sleep here too. Jiang Zhao kissed Yi Er on the cheek and said, of course. When they picked up Si Jia, Yi Er tried to drag him into the car, but Si Jia refused. He looked at Jiang Zhao with hostility in his eyes. Jiang Zhao was very patient, but just as he was about to introduce himself, Si Jia greeted him, hello, uncle. Jiang Zhao was stunned, but Yi Er burst out laughing. Ha! Si Jia rolled his eyes at Yi Er. What are you laughing at? Look at you. All you know how to do is laugh like a fool. Yi Er patted Si Jia's head. I'm laughing at how cute you are. Si Jia slapped Yi Er's hand away. How many times have I told you that you can't touch a man's head or a woman's waist? If you touch my head again, I won't let you off. Also, I'm a man. You're so shallow to use words like cute to describe a man. What? What? You're saying I'm shallow. Yi Er looked at Jiang Zhao and then at Si Jia. He was furious. Jiang Zhao had just called him shallow, and now Si Jia was calling him shallow. You don't understand. I'm saying you're shallow. It's scary how uncultured you are. Si Jia glanced at Yi Er, opened the car door, and got in. After they got into the car, Si Jia ignored Jiang Zhao and talked to Yi Er like an adult. Last time, when you told me about transferring schools, it had something to do with this uncle, right? Yun Yi, I don't agree with you hooking up with a rich man. Yun Sijia, this is my husband. We've registered our marriage, so you have to call him brother-in-law in the future. Yi Er was a little angry, so she raised her voice a little. She usually didn't care about Si Jia's impudence. She only thought that this boy was a little black-bellied, but at this time, if he continued to speak like this, she felt that he would hurt Jiang Zhao. Stop! Si Jia slapped the back of Jiang Zhao's seat. Jiang Zhao slammed on the brakes, followed by a series of honks from behind the car. Si Jia opened the car door and got out. Yi Er quickly chased after him. Jiang Zhao stopped the car by the side and also chased after him. Yi Er caught up with Si Jia and hugged him tightly. Si Jia struggled to hit Yi Er, but he only hit his shoulder and not his face. He cried loudly, "How can you be like this? Yun Yi, you don't treat me as your brother at all. Marriage is such a big thing, and you're only telling me now. Haven't you heard of the parents' orders and the matchmaker's words? I'm a man of the Yun family, but you're already married. You're only telling me now that you want to run away with another man. You want to abandon your brother, Yun Yi. You're not a thing. Si Jia, I'm not abandoning you. We'll still be together in the future. Your brother-in-law bought the house that we live in together. In the future, our family will still live together. We'll move there very soon. Si Jia, you're my brother. I can never abandon you. If you say that I want to abandon you again, I'll feel terrible. I'll feel heartache." Jiang Zhao watched as Yi Er hugged her brother and comforted him with reddened eyes. He stopped where he was and then turned to leave. He returned to the car. He knew that he couldn't do anything to this woman. She had a heart. She would feel terrible and her heart would ache, but that was only for her family. Si Jia was almost 10 years old. He was a handsome little boy. His school uniform for this season was a checkered shirt. He looked 100% like a little gentleman in it. However, at this moment, he was clinging on to Yi Er like a little rascal, asking for a hug. Yi Er carried Si Jia back into Jiang Zhao's car. Si Jia had always thought of himself as an adult. Jiang Zhao saw through him and left Yi Er to talk about men's topics with Si Jia. Later, before they even reached the restaurant, the two men, one big and one small, had already started to attack Yi Er together. Yes, she's timid. She's been like this since she was young. She's even afraid of snakes. She's actually afraid of those non-poisonous snakes that have their fangs pulled out. She's such a good-for-nothing. Once, I put my pet snake under her blanket. She was so scared that she laid out a cushion on the floor and slept for a month. She even sprinkled yellow wine and lime around the cushion. Jiang Zhao listened with great interest. From time to time, he would laugh out loud. Jiang Zhao hoped that he could bring Si Jia back to the Qin family for a meal tomorrow. Before the Jiang family left, everyone could meet up. Si Jia agreed because he thought that Jiang Zhao was very smart. After the meal, they went to the gaming center. Jiang Zhao actually knew how to play all kinds of video games. He was 10,000 times smarter than Yi Er. Although he acknowledged Jiang Zhao as his brother-in-law, it did not mean that he was willing to share his bed with Jiang Zhao. After taking a shower, Si Jia hung on to Yi Er domineeringly and refused to get down. He even said to Jiang Zhao generously, "Brother-in-law, don't leave today. I'll let you sleep in my room." Jiang Zhao looked at Yi Er bitterly. Yi Er thought to herself that children were very pure. How could they understand adult matters? Hence, she could only tell Jiang Zhao with her eyes, "Sorry." In the middle of the night, Jiang Zhao snuck into Yi Er's room again. He wanted to wake her up and move her to that room. However, before he could kiss her twice, the bedside lamp was turned on. Si Jie rubbed his eyes. Then, he narrowed his eyes and looked at Jiang Zhao. He said vaguely, "Brother-in-law, are you sleepwalking?" Jiang Zhao was completely speechless. Did he have to be so unlucky today? This brother-in-law of his had been playing dirty with him from the beginning to the end, right? If he was already like this now, what would happen when they moved in together in the future? If he slept with his own wife like a thief, would there still be any justice left? When Yi Er woke up, she found that Jiang Zhao had already fallen asleep on her pillow and was confronting Si Jia. Although they didn't speak, Jiang Zhao refused to get out of bed. The bed wasn't very big. It was 1.5 meters. She and Jiang Zhao were both tall. At this time, the space on the bed seemed abnormally cramped. Jiang Zhao didn't get out of bed. He confidently said to Si Jia, "Your quilt is too short. My feet are hanging out." Si Jia pulled off the quilt covering himself and Yi Er and gave it to Jiang Zhao. "You take this to cover yourself. Sister and I will cover that bed." Yi Er looked at Jiang Zhao's dissatisfied expression. She sat up, wrapped the quilt in her arms, and got out of bed. "Yun Si Jia, I'll go get your quilt now. Your brother-in-law and I will sleep in that room." Jiang Zhao hurriedly got out of bed and smiled at Si Jia. "Si Jia, good night." Si Jia punched the bed. "You're not allowed." Yi Er also said domineeringly, "Yun Si Jia, did Dad and Mom sleep in the same room in the past?" Si Jia didn't say a word. "Because they are husband and wife. They are married, so they have to sleep in the same room. Now that your brother-in-law and I are husband and wife, we have to sleep in the same room. But I'm your younger brother. You used to sleep with me." After Si Jia finished speaking, he glared fiercely at Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao was wronged. Your sister was giving you a political lesson. It had nothing to do with your brother-in-law. But he didn't say anything. In any case, he wouldn't be the bad guy. He didn't want his brother-in-law to call him uncle in front of outsiders. "Last time, before I got married, I already told you that you have to be independent when you grow up. You can't always be so wishy-washy." "Who's being wishy-washy?" "You." "I've asked." Other boys sleep in separate rooms and beds from adults at the age of 6. Only you can't stop drinking milk. You're like a child, and you always talk like an adult. You're just a child. You don't even dare to sleep alone. Yun Yi. In the future, even if you want to sleep with me, I won't sleep with you. Si Jia jumped off the bed and ran to his room with a bang. Seeing that Si Jia had left, Jiang Zhao immediately pressed Yi Er onto the bed. However, Yi Er pushed Jiang Zhao away and went to Si Jia's room. She was still a little worried, so she opened Si Jia's door and deliberately softened her heart. "Si Jia, I'm sorry. Sister spoke too harshly just now. You should sleep with me. When I was young, I was also afraid of toothless snakes. Although I'm not afraid now that I've grown up, you're still a child after all." "Who's afraid? Who's afraid? You're spouting nonsense. Yun Yi, if you don't go back to your room, I'm going to chase you away with a stick. Don't be so fierce. You make it sound like you're more powerful than Iron Man. Don't you know how to be gentler to women?" Although Si Jia was also scheming, he couldn't bring himself to let his sister think that he was a wishy-washy, timid, and scared. These words had nothing to do with him. He was an indomitable man. Hence, he rolled his eyes at Yi Er. Humph. He covered his head and went to sleep. Yi Er was finally relieved. When she returned to her room, Jiang Zhao hugged her and kissed her fiercely. "Honey. He bit the woman's neck and pulled off her pajamas. Be gentler. Yi Er slapped the man's chest. This man's bite hurt her neck. Jiang Zhao was finally going to have sex. He was feeling proud and didn't know the severity of the situation. He couldn't wait to put himself in her. You should be the one who should be gentler. It wasn't until Jiang Zhao squeezed in that Yi Er understood what he meant. In the end, she could only kiss him to muffle her voice. The blanket covered their bodies. The two of them were sweaty from all the tossing. When they woke up the next morning, Jiang Zhao was still hugging Yi Er in his arms. It was Sunday and he wanted to hug his wife to sleep in. It wasn't a bad idea. He didn't mind whether this house was old or not. He had a bed, a wife, and he could sleep and make love. It was quite good. Because Si Jia was chased to another room to sleep, he naturally thought that Jiang Zhao was the culprit. Hence, he didn't give him a good look. Jiang Zhao thought to himself, brother-in-law, why do you hate me? It's your sister who likes her husband too much and wants to sleep with him. I didn't chase you away. I didn't even say a word. Who asked your sister's husband to be tall, handsome and comfortable? Yi Er took Si Jia to the amusement park. She saw Jiang Zhao wearing casual clothes and taking a 9-year-old boy everywhere to buy tickets. When they played those games that made people scream, he became even more handsome. After all, Si Jia was a child. Once he played, he was full of energy and wouldn't stop playing. After playing for a whole day, he returned home, took a shower, and fell asleep in a short while. Yi Er covered Si Jia with the blanket and returned to her room. Jiang Zhao was reading the news on his phone. Yi Er sat beside him and waited for him to finish reading. Jiang Zhao knew that Yi Er was here, so he closed the web page and threw his phone aside. Yi Er took the opportunity to hug Jiang Zhao's neck. Hubby, what do you think of me? Yes. What's good about you? Attention, Songshu 566. Chapter 498. Here is good, here is good, here is good. Jiang Zhao giggled as he kissed Yi Er's lips, breasts, and even touched her butt. Can't you be more serious? Just as he removed Yi Er's clothes, his phone rang. Seeing that it was Zhuang Yichen, Jiang Zhao cursed in his heart, but he still stopped what he was doing. Zhuang Yichen was not the kind of person who would call him for no reason. If he wanted to have a gathering, he would usually tell him in advance. They did not have any impromptu gatherings. The phone slid open. Hello. Zhuang Yichen chuckled. Did I interrupt your good time? Yes, I did. Why don't you call again tomorrow? It's okay. I'll talk about my business. You can continue. Zhuang Yichen laughed as he spoke. Jiang Zhao was not in the mood to laugh. He turned over and laid down beside Yi Er, but his hand was still on Yi Er's body. What's the matter? Tell me. Yi Er could not stand Jiang Zhao's touch. She cursed in her heart. They were still talking about business. Why couldn't he just talk about it properly? But whenever she moved, Jiang Zhao's hands would chase after her. Get off the bed and find a quiet place to close the door. I have something to tell you, Zhuang Yichen said seriously. Jiang Zhao immediately stopped and got off the bed. Then he covered Yi Er with the blanket and gestured for Yi Er to sleep first. Yi Er saw that he looked serious and nodded. Yi Er had always pretended to be deaf and mute about Jiang Zhao's matters. She had never asked about it. Today, she wanted to ask about her father, but she did not know how to start. Yi Er was tormented by this matter. On Monday, Yi Er sent Si Jia to school. Then she and Jiang Zhao sent the Jiang family members away. It could be said that he had completed a major task. In the afternoon, she received another call from Ouyang Yan. Don't use Jiang Zhao as a condition. Go and see your father. I've arranged the time for you. But when Yi Er arrived, the prisoner refused to visit. Yi Er felt uneasy. Ouyang Yen then led her to the surveillance room. Yi Er stood there in a daze. She shook her head in disbelief. Didn't they say that the surveillance cameras in the prison were always broken? Why did it have to be so clear? Yi Er's body trembled as if she was sifting chaff, while Ouyang Yen, who was by her side, would occasionally add in some emotional commentary. Sigh, it's really tough. I wonder what will happen next. Less than a minute after entering the monitoring room, Yi Er ran out. She wanted to leave this place, leave this damned place. The person lying on the monitoring bed was not her father. Although her father was a little old, he would not lie there so weakly. He was still curled up and looked like it was difficult for him to even turn over. She could almost hear that person groaning because of the pain. That person was not her father. Her father's face was not that big. Her father was very handsome. Even if he was old, he was still very handsome. He would not be like that, with his facial features messed up. He would not look like a mess with bruises. She could not see clearly. That was not her father. Ouyang Yen caught up with Yi Er. He grabbed her wrist and pushed her against the rough cement wall outside. His voice was still soft. Miss Yunda, what are you holding on for? I said that I would help you, but you refused. You are really unfilial. Jiang Zhao does not love you at all. Otherwise, with his ability, it would not be a problem to let your father live a peaceful life. What's the meaning of this? Yi Er knew that her eyes were wet. It was raining heavily. Ouyang Yen, you are so scheming to get Jiang Zhao, but you want to start with me. Don't you think it's funny? Ouyang Yen smiled indifferently. What's so funny? Jiang Zhao has never liked women who are not sensible. He hates women who cause trouble. I will never say anything bad about you in front of him, and I will also not say that you have scolded me. I will often tell him that you are still young and it's okay to be immature occasionally. You will be fine after a few years. Yi Er did not know how the ancient people got along with 3 wives and 4 concubines under the same roof. In any case, she could not take it anymore. She thought that there was no problem at all. She was very strong, but she could not take it anymore. You are really shameless. Ouyang Yen smiled faintly. Compared to you, I am still considered shameless. In front of Jiang Zhao, the more I say good things about you, the more he thinks that I am sensible and magnanimous, and the more he thinks that I am wronged. But you are young and fresh to him. If he wants to play, I will let him play until he is satisfied. When he is tired of playing, he will naturally come back to me. These successful men nowadays, which one of them will be faithful to one woman until the end? In any case, his heart is with me. Yi Er pushed away this woman who she hated so much. Then she took out a tissue from her bag and slowly wiped the tears off her face. As she wiped, she looked at Ouyang Yen provocatively and slowly revealed a smile on her face. She crumpled the tissue in her hand into a ball and threw it at Ouyang Yan's feet. It was 3:00 in the afternoon, and the sun was orange. After crying, Yi Er's eyes were shining with rainbows. I will talk to my husband tonight and ask him to think of a solution. Ouyang Yen decided to take a gamble and said calmly, sure, you can ask him and see what he'll say. He'll definitely tell you to wait and tell you that he'll be quick. You don't know, right? He has always been using you. He can use your father to defeat his opponent. When the time comes, he won't care what your father will become or whether he will become a sacrifice. Yi Er knew. She had always known that they were using each other. It was just that she was unlucky to have fallen for him first. She straightened her back and smiled brightly at Ouyang Yen. Thank you for your reminder. In that case, I still have some value to him. Yang Yan did not know that Yi Er was so stubborn. She was so angry that she wanted to stomp a hole through the ground. After leaving the prison, Yi Er went directly to Jiang Zhao's office. It was her first time here, so Yi Er was looking forward to it. For the purpose of this trip, she was also very hesitant. The moment Jiang Zhao saw her, he locked the door and asked, "Why are you here?" Yi Er felt that she could not fall in love with him anymore. She needed to calm down. She needed to calm down 1,000 times. She needed to get rid of the feeling she had when she was with him in the past. She needed to tell herself what she wanted. She threw her bag on the sofa and lifted the hem of her dress. She put one hand around the man's neck and used the momentum to jump. The man took the opportunity to hug her and she wrapped her arms around the man's waist in the most erotic way. "Ah, Zhao." Yi Er called out softly. Jiang Zhao was fascinated by her story, so he lowered his head and kissed her collarbone. "I just came over from the prison." Yi Er said this with a smile. Although her eyes were a little moist, they were still curved, as if she was seducing the man. This kind of soft and delicate tone did not seem to be suitable to talk about this matter. Jiang Zhao's body stiffened. Yi Er let the man hug her butt and pulled his tie. She said softly, "Look at you. You like to sleep with me so much. You have to do something for me. My father was beaten so badly. It's so boring for you to brush me off like this. That day, you told me that if you want to get something, you have to give something. Look at me, I also let you do whatever you want. I'm constantly trying to please you. Even if I don't do anything, I've worked hard. I'm not asking to get my father out. Even if I can't reduce his sentence, I'm fine with less torture. Isn't that right?" Jiang Zhao could not stand Yi Er's tone. "Yunyi, I'm wrong about this matter. I didn't tell you because I was afraid you'd feel uncomfortable. Originally, I asked someone to do it." Yi Er reached out to cover Jiang Zhao's mouth. She jumped down from his body and calmly adjusted the hem of her dress. He had bought this dress for her. He had wanted to wear it for his father to see that his daughter had become a little fairy again. She had married a powerful man and there was hope for his matter. Moreover, his daughter liked it. Just like that, wasn't it something worth congratulating? However, a person could not have everything. If she could only choose one, Jiang Zhao, she really could not afford to have him. "Initially, I wanted to wait for you to help me. But Yang Yan said she was willing to get involved in this case and not implicate you. I think she was afraid that I would harm you. I went to visit her in prison, but her father did not want to see me. Jiang Zhao, I am here to tell you that I can't stand this kind of torture. If you can help me, you should give me a clear explanation. If you can't help me, you don't have to patronize me. I will not make things difficult for you. Let's get a divorce and go our separate ways. I will also not stop you from going out with your mistress." The air in Jiang Zhao's chest felt like it was boiling. Large bubbles were tumbling. The air pressure was so great that it almost flipped the lid of his chest open. "Divorce? You think you can get married just because you want to? You think you can get a divorce just because you want to? Do you think this is the market?" Yi Er laughed. "I forgot that Mayor Jiang cares about his reputation. Ha! Jiang Zhao only wanted to kill this woman if it was not against the law. Okay. Good that you know. Then tell me. How do you want to settle my father's case? I will get someone to apply for medical parole. What do you think?" "Thank you, Mayor Jiang." Yi Er smiled brightly as she looked at Jiang Zhao. Like an ancient palace lady, she bowed to Jiang Zhao and then stood up. She walked slowly to Jiang Zhao's desk and touched the smooth surface of the desk with her fingers. She slowly walked around the desk. It was not a high-grade wood, but it was not low-grade either. The office of the government should be careful not to be too eye-catching. Yi Er's voice was soft, but her tone was sharp. Since you are willing to help me, then tell your mistress not to look for me in the future. Both of you can do whatever you want. There's no need for her to treat my matters as your matters. I am sleeping with you, and you are helping me. Both of us are equal. Why does she want to interfere? I am afraid I cannot repay her kindness. After all, I am not capable of sleeping with a woman. Yun Yi. Are you done talking? I am done. Since you have listened to me, I will leave first. Yi Er walked out of the building and kept smiling until she got into a taxi. Bam! She closed the door of the taxi and clenched her fists. Her tears kept rolling down her cheeks. Good job, Yun Yi. Go back to being the cold-blooded person you used to be. Otherwise, it will be too painful. Jiang Zhao calmly called Lu Qing over. How is the application for medical parole coming along? I am working on it. It should be done within these 2 days. Okay. You can leave now. Jiang Zhao called Ouyang Yan. Yun Yun, we need to talk about something. Ouyang Yan was panicking. She thought Yun Yi should have low self-esteem and would not say anything in front of Jiang Zhao. Could it be that Jiang Zhao knew about it? What do you want to talk about? You don't need to get involved in Yun Hongwei's case. Attention, Xinwu 799. Chapter 499. Second brother, I just want to help you. You can't let anything happen to you in your current position. I know. I'll be careful. Also, Yun Yun, I hope you won't look for your sister-in-law again. I'll treat today's matter as you being kind and don't want to pursue the matter. But Yun Yun, I've always done things appropriately. I think you should know very well that I don't need you to remind me of my next step. I have my own plans for when I'll let my wife meet my father-in-law. Yun Yun, sometimes, kindness may not be rewarded. Don't you understand? Ouyang Yan's hand trembled as he held the phone. I understand. Second brother, I didn't mean it. I'm hanging up, Jiang Zhao said coldly and hung up the phone. He let out a long sigh of relief. Good. He felt much more relaxed now that Yun Yi was like this. She should be like this. She could make use of her original appearance. As a man, if he still had feelings for her all day long, he would be too much of a jerk. Divorce? These 2 words came out of her mouth easily. It was impossible for him to get a divorce. He could get a divorce if he wanted, but he had to wait until the day he saw her and the pain in his heart disappeared. Only then could he get a divorce. He hadn't escaped unscathed yet, so she should die with him. She wanted to leave. She wanted to leave him here alone. He, Jiang Zhao, had never been an easy person to get along with. Jiang Zhao acted as if nothing had happened and called Yi Er. I'm going home for dinner tonight. Cook for me. He hung up the phone. Yi Er received the order. Okay, cook for him. After dinner, Jiang Zhao deliberately didn't spend the night at Yi Er's house. He had to keep a distance from this woman. She was obviously poisonous. He wouldn't be stupid enough to touch her again. He kept reminding himself that he was a man with strong self-control. It was only a woman, so it was inevitable that he would be moved. At this age, it wasn't the first time he had been moved. Everything would pass. He also told himself that this period of time was just a little tough, but it would be fine after a while. Yi Er was the same as before. He started his own life and no longer paid attention to Jiang Zhao. Whatever Jiang Zhao wanted to do, whatever he told her to do, she would cooperate. She would act coquettishly and cutely just like before. He tried his best not to change their lives during the process. Jiang Zhao was the same as before their marriage. He treated her coldly from time to time. If he could hurt her, he would never comfort her. If he could take revenge, he would never coax her. Yi Er wanted to empty herself out, so she arranged a lot of activities for herself and looked for friends. Because she was a little afraid of Jingling's mother, she didn't go to Jingling's place. In the large workshop on the second floor, Qiu Xiaoye stood in front of the workbench. She fixed the three-dimensional cut with a pearl needle and used a pen to draw a line on the fabric. When Xiaoye was working, she was very serious and focused. It was impossible to associate her with the woman who usually spoke without thinking. Yi Er slapped Xiaoye's shoulder hard. Xiaoye was still holding a colorful pearl needle. When she turned around, she almost stabbed Yi Er. "Are you crazy? Are you a ghost? Or did you die last night and crawl out of the grave to scare me? Hey, is there anyone who curses like you? Look at your pale face. Did you take too many birth control pills?" Yi Er made a pft sound. "Qiu Xiaoye, can you not be like this? Can't your words match your appearance?" Qiu Xiaoye said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was wrong. But you shouldn't take birth control pills. It affects your skin and your endocrine system." Yi Er touched his face. He kind of believed Xiaoye's words. "Don't tell me you don't want to take them." Xiaoye took off the wrist pillow on her wrist and inserted some unused pearl needles into it. Finally, she threw the needles into the tool tray. She picked up the glass of water on the table and took a big gulp. "I'll take them. What if I get pregnant if I don't take them? What if the man doesn't want them after giving birth? Then why is your skin so good? Is my skin really that yellow? Yeah. You don't look too good recently. I recommend a birth control pill for you. My friend in the hospital has it. All the female doctors and nurses in the hospital take this. Wait a minute, I'll get it for you." Yi Er was speechless. "Qiu Xiaoye, can you not be so bold? You actually brought birth control pills to the office. Are you ready to do bad things at any time? This is for after the event. Anyway, I have to come to work after the event. It's convenient to leave it in the office. I have a bottle at home too, in case I forget." As Xiaoye said this, she had already passed the bottle to Yi Er. Then she turned around to take a disposable cup and prepared to pour Yi Er some water. Yi Er looked at the bottle. "You gave it to me. What about you? I can get it from my friend anytime. It's very convenient. Besides, I have some at home." Qiu Xiaoye put the cup to the water dispenser and asked, "Do you want to drink hot, cold, or warm?" Yi Er looked at the man beside him. He crossed his arms and looked coldly at Xiaoye, who was pouring water for him. He didn't dare to say anything. If Jiang Zhao wasn't around, who would subdue this stinky man? "Hey! I'm asking you," Xiaoye said loudly in dissatisfaction. Then she turned around and saw Zhuang Yichen standing there calmly. He pretended not to see him and said to Yi Er, "I'm asking you what kind of water temperature is suitable." Zhuang Yichen looked at Yi Er and pursed his lips into a smile. "I think Mrs. Jiang doesn't like the water here and wants to go home to drink her own water." Yi Er held the birth control pills and nodded at Xiaoye. "Okay, I'm not used to drinking them. I'll go back first." "Hey, Yi Er couldn't care less. Even Jiang Zhao said that they were a couple. What was she standing there for? The man's shiny leather shoes walked back and forth on the wooden floor. The sound of footsteps slowly traveled into Xiaoye's ears. Zhuang Yichen was just looking around casually. Then he stood in front of Xiaoye. She poured a glass of warm water for him. "President Zhuang, are you here to make clothes?" Zhuang Yichen didn't take the water. "Yes." Xiaoye rolled her eyes at him and placed the glass on the office table. "Your measurements are here. What style do you need? I'll send it to you when it's done. I've lost weight recently. I'll take the measurements again. Xiaoye scolded in her heart, you're asking for it. She took a soft tape measure and measured the width of the back, the length of the shirt, the length of the sleeves, the length of the sleeves and the collar. Then she wrapped the tape measure around the man's neck and stuck a finger in. The man's Adam's apple bobbed a few times when her finger slid in. Xiaoye wasn't as tall as Yi Er. Standing on her tiptoes in front of Zhuang Yichen, she felt uncomfortable. She would change into flat shoes the moment she arrived at work. The difference in height was huge. President Zhuang, wait. I'll go put on my high heels. However, the man grabbed her waist and teased, why are you wearing high heels? To make it easier for you to kiss me. Xiaoye didn't resist. President Zhuang, you really know how to joke. How many men do I have to kiss in a day like this? Miss Chiu always keeps the morning after pill in her office. She's really meticulous. Zhuang Yichen pursed his lips. He pinched Xiaoye's waist and lifted her up, allowing her to lean against him. Of course. Women have to learn to protect themselves. Other than young Master Kong, who else does Miss Chiu prepare the morning after pill for? It's none of your business. It's none of your business. Zhuang Yichen took 2 steps forward and pressed Xiaoye against the workbench that was filled with fabrics. He grabbed her chin and said in a deep voice, don't think that I'll let you do whatever you want. Xiaoye tried to pry Zhuang Yichen's hand away. Her chin hurt unbearably. I have nothing to do with you anymore. I'm free to live my life however I want. Oh, freedom is easy to write, but it's not easy to achieve. Let go of me. Zhuang Yichen slid his hand under Xiaoye's skirt. The morning after pill is always kept in the office. I want to see if your skin will get better after you take it. Get lost. Zhuang Yichen bit Xiaoye's ear and panted heavily. Little Demon Chiu, do you want to call Kong Yun and ask him to come over? I want to know if his eyes will still be filled with honey when he looks at you. Xiaoye was shocked out of her wits. She didn't know what he was talking about. What nonsense are you talking about? Are you crazy? Protect him. Hey, you pervert. I already said that it has nothing to do with you. Get out of here. I'll get out when I'm done. I'm not interested in satisfying you. Bastard. Yi Er saw that it was almost time to get off work. She still had to go home and cook for Jiang Zhao. She had to serve him well. Professionalism was a must. The dishes on the table that night were all Jiang Zhao's favorites. They were light and there weren't many meat dishes. While Jiang Zhao was eating, he said to Yi Er, you're on parole for medical treatment. It'll be approved the day after tomorrow. However, they won't state the real cause of your injury. The application documents state that you fell down the stairs while you were working. Yi Er's hand that was holding her chopsticks trembled. It's good that you're out now. We'll talk about the rest later. She looked at Jiang Zhao, who was eating with his head lowered. She smiled and said sweetly, thank you, hubby. You're welcome. Like you said, we don't owe you anything. Yi Er nodded. The next night, they went back to the Qin family for dinner. Unwu brought his girlfriend over for dinner. The girl's name was An. An had been sitting beside Unwu the whole time. She looked very quiet and matched well with Unwu. She would blush if they talked too much. Unwu, I brought my girlfriend over today. Grandpa Qin has to give your daughter a big red packet. Qin Rongfang asked Uncle Wu to prepare it as he spoke. Unwu appeared very generous. He patted the girl's hand. Hurry up and thank Grandpa Qin. The girl blushed slightly and nodded. Thank you, Grandpa Qin. Qin Fian said, Grandpa is really biased. I've never heard of him giving me a big red packet or anything like that. Your red packet. After the artificial insemination is successful, I'll give a very, very big red packet to the girl who gets pregnant for you. And then couldn't take such a huge blow and her face turned red. Qin Fian looked at An. Don't be like this. I'm gay. Everyone in Haiqing knows that. Did you just come to Haiqing? You're so surprised by such a small piece of news. And then said, I grew up with Yunwu in Japan. Yunwu's gaze shifted slightly from time to time and landed on the girl he liked sitting opposite him. Yi Er ate his food and was occasionally amused by Jiang Zhao. He looked away. He really didn't want to see such a scene. After dinner, Yi Er found Yunwu in the garden. Yunwu. Yunwu's eyes were still as clear as a spring. He smiled warmly. Yi Er. I didn't disturb you, did I? Yunwu looked at An, who was standing beside him, and shook his head. Of course not. Yunwu, I was wondering when you'd like to take the painting back. Yi Er felt that it wasn't good to leave his nude painting with others. Moreover, when he drew it, he wanted to keep it as a memento. What kind of memento would it be if he didn't take it back? Come and take a look. Xinwu 799. Chapter 500. Sure, give me your phone number. I'll send it to you another day. Yunwu was about to take out his phone to write down the number when he saw Jiang Zhao walking over. He pulled An over and said to Yi Er, An isn't familiar with Haiqing. Why don't you go shopping together often? An can also buy some things she likes. I don't want to go shopping with a girl. An seemed very interested too. Sure. I was just about to go. Yunwu said that it's better to read than to go shopping. Who knows how fun shopping is? Isn't that right, sister-in-law? Jiang Zhao walked over to Yi Er and patted Yi Er's shoulder. You guys have company now. It's good to go out and have fun often. Yunwu looked at Jiang Zhao and said helplessly, girls like to do that kind of thing. When it comes to shopping, they're more excited than anything else. I feel like we're going to the execution ground. Jiang Zhao laughed and said, there's a difference between men and women. Jiang Zhao received a call from Zhuang Yichen. He said concisely, I'll wait for you at Zhaojun. I'll tell you in person. Yi Er asked, what's the matter? Jiang Zhao lifted his wrist and reached out to pull up his sleeves. He looked at the time and said, I'll get Uncle Wu to send you back later. I have something urgent to attend to, so I'll leave first. Yunwu stopped Jiang Zhao. There's no need to trouble Uncle Wu. I'll send sister-in-law off on my way back later. Thank you, Yunwu. You're too polite. After Jiang Zhao left, Yunwu suggested that he visit another day. Yi Er hitched a ride. She and An sat in the back while Yunwu sat in the front passenger seat. Yi Er felt that An was not very gentle. When she smiled, she could also be very happy. Yunwu looked at Yi Er from the rearview mirror and could not help but be moved. She turned around and said to An, Yi Er's nose is a little dirty. Help her wipe it. And then glanced at Yunwu and took out a neatly folded handkerchief from her bag. Sister-in-law, come, I'll wipe the dirt off the tip of your nose for you. Yi Er reached out and touched it. Am I that careless? Do it yourself. It's fine. An insisted on helping Yi Er. Yi Er wondered what was on the tip of his nose that An needed to wipe it for so long. The handkerchief smelled really good. He couldn't help but want to smell it a few more times. He shook his head and felt a little dizzy. She was getting dizzier and dizzier. She looked at Yunwu, who had turned around to look at her. Yunwu's face was filled with circles. It was as if a stone had been thrown into a pond. The circles kept spreading outwards. Jiang Zhao rushed over to Peerless Beauty. He guessed that something important must have happened. He directly pressed the elevator button from the underground garage and went up to Zhao Jun. When he stepped out of the elevator, he saw Zhuang Yichen shaking the dice alone. Zhao Jun was different from other private rooms. There was no strange smell. There was no need to use air fresheners to cover up the smell of cigarettes, alcohol, or vomit. The lights were also brighter. Jiang Zhao sat down. Zhuang Yichen sat up straight. You asked me to investigate the Lei family that disappeared 12 years ago. Yes. Jiang Zhao listened carefully. At that time, only 2 people survived. One was Lei Zhentian, and the other was his 8-year-old grandson. Jiang Zhao glanced at Zhuang Yichen and motioned for him to continue. Zhuang Yichen continued, You don't know this, but his grandson killed 13 people when he was just 8 years old. What's even more unbelievable is that this 8-year-old boy's marksmanship was extremely accurate. Later on, the boy was shot and his heart was damaged. Lei Zhentian didn't hesitate to spend a large sum of money to replace his heart. Since then, there hasn't been any news about the Lei family. That's all I can find out. Jiang Zhao was shocked. You're saying that the 8-year-old boy killed 13 people with a gun? Yes. Jiang Zhao thought about Yunwu. He thought about his pair of eyes and the way he usually spoke. His skin was so soft and tender. Even after he was praised by Yi Er, he specially checked his hands. There were no calluses at all. A boy who was as pure as a puddle of water killed 13 people when he was just 8 years old. He couldn't believe it. Is there a mistake? Zhuang Yichen shook his head. After investigating for so long, I didn't want to make a mistake. But after that, just like you said, they disappeared into thin air. But at that time, the Lei family was jointly exterminated by 2 Japanese families. These 2 families had been declining since 8 years ago, and they didn't have any enemies to take revenge on. I just feel that it's a little strange. The important direct shareholders of these 2 families were all ruined. Basically, they were secretly hiding large amounts of heroin. Moreover, they were all forced to investigate in China. You have to know that there is a death penalty in China. If this has something to do with the Lei family, then I can only say that the Lei family is too tolerant. Jiang Zhao's brows were furrowed the whole time. He looked at Zhuang Yichen and said seriously, Yichen, what do you think a person who seems to have no desires and is pure of heart and few desires means? Zhuang Yichen thought for a while. First, he really is pure of heart and few desires. Nothing can arouse his interest. Second, he is too shrewd and knows how to hide too well. Moreover, he hides so well that no one can see that he has desires. Jiang Zhao only felt abnormally vexed. A flash of inspiration flashed through his mind as he recalled that day at the birthday banquet, when Grace had eagerly extended her hand to Yi Er. His right eye twitched violently. He stood up and took out his phone to call the Qin residence. Uncle Wu, where's Yi Er? Young Master Un Wu said that he would send young Mistress Sun back. He left a long time ago. Jiang Zhao called Yi Er's cell phone again, but no one answered. After hanging up, he said to Zhuang Yichen, I'm leaving first. He quickly went to press the elevator button. Yi Er's breathing was shallow. The car was still moving slowly on the road. Anton was already sitting in the front passenger seat, while Yunwu sat in the back. The partition in the middle was pulled up, and the back seat became a private space. Yi Er's head rested on Yunwu's lap, and the boy's soft fingers slowly stroked her face. Yunwu had never been so close to Yi Er before. He couldn't help but lay her down flat and bend her slender legs. When he bent her legs, her skirt slid from her knees to her thighs, revealing her sexy underwear. He watched as her eyes were closed, and the 2 small brushes on her eyes didn't move. He planted a kiss on her eyes. As if he couldn't help it, he kissed her forehead, the tip of her nose, and her cherry lips. He squatted in front of her and looked at her sleeping face. He looked at her lips that were still stained with his saliva and shone with an alluring luster. He stretched out his fingers and pressed them gently. They were very soft. He wondered what her mouth tasted like. He really wanted to know. Hence, he stuck his tongue into her mouth and tasted it. Men were naturally familiar with everything related to sex. Even though he had never kissed anyone before, he quickly went from being unfamiliar with it to taking a deep breath. He wouldn't let her lips escape from his mouth again. This was empty space. The car drove steadily, but he felt more and more uneven. Her chest was rising and falling, and her long and fair legs were exposed. He put his hand under her neck and held the back of her head. He kissed her again, and when he let go, his forehead was covered in sweat. His voice was slightly trembling, but it was still cold. Go to Hyatt. The driver in front of the partition said mechanically, yes, young master. Jiang Zhao was still calling Ye's phone. He didn't know Yunwu's phone number, and calling the Shi family at this time to ask would be making a mountain out of a molehill. Jiang Zhao's feet were on the brakes. He didn't know why, but he was inexplicably nervous. It was as if he was walking into a dark forest and a monster would jump out at any time. It made him nervous. The car drove to Ye's neighborhood. He pulled out the car key, got out, slammed the door, and looked up. There was no light on the 6th floor. His legs were very long, and he could climb 3 stairs in one big step. He ran up to the 6th floor in a few steps. He knocked on the door. He took out the key and turned the lock. He turned on the lights and shouted, Yunyi, Yunyi. No one answered him. He immediately closed the door and jumped down the stairs. The car key was still in his hand. He pressed the sensor, and the lights flashed twice. He opened the door, got in, and started driving. In the middle of this, he kept calling Ye. Ye would never ignore his calls. Every time it rang 2 or 3 times, she would pick up because his ringtone was different. He drove directly to the Shi family's house. He got out of the car calmly and said that he was passing by the Shi family's house on the way to the office building. He asked casually, Yunwu isn't back yet. The helper said, young master isn't back yet. Jiang Zhao looked at Shi Jintian. That's true. I've troubled Yunwu today. I went to the building just now, and Yunwu sent Ye to her house for me. He might be a little late. Shi Jintian frowned. What if Yunwu sent Ye? He didn't dare to think about it. Jiang Zhao glanced at Shi Jintian's expression. Even if it was just for a second, it didn't escape his eyes. He said politely to Shi Jintian, Grandpa Shi, I'll take my leave first. Ye might be home already. Okay. Zhao Zhao, come over another day. Grandpa Shi, you should arrange a meal too. Okay. Jiang Zhao wasn't in the mood to talk about a meal. The moment he stepped out of the Shi family's garden, he called Zhua Hao. Haozi, is it convenient to check your location? Yunwu carried Ye into the hotel's luxurious suite. And then closed the door behind them. Her movements were a little mechanical and expressionless. After laying Ye flat on the bed, Yunwu heaved a sigh of relief and laid down beside her. And then looked at the 2 people on the bed and said expressionlessly, Little master, I'll go to the living room outside. Yunwu grunted. The boy lying beside Ye stretched out his hand and passed it through her palm along the soft white blanket. Then, their fingers intertwined and held tightly. It was said that the 10 fingers were connected to the heart. If she was awake, would she let him hold her hand like this? He wasn't sure. He always saw her smile at Jiang Zhao. He always saw them being intimate. He didn't have the confidence. He was jealous and couldn't bear it. He tossed and turned in bed every night. In the middle of the night, he would wake up and read some nonsense like, "The best is like water." He had enough of that life that was like plain water. That feeling of being moved was wonderful, but if he couldn't get it, his heart would be like this. It hurt so much. He wanted to hide her, but how? He told Grandpa that he wanted to go overseas, but Grandpa saw through his thoughts. He could leave, but he wasn't allowed to stay in High City. In his eyes, she and Jiang Zhao looked so incompatible. How old was Jiang Zhao? He was already 30, right? She was only 19. Alright, even if Jiang Zhao was 29, he was still 10 years older than her. They weren't compatible. She and Shi Yunwu were compatible. She was 19, and he was 20. They were the most compatible. Why didn't she tell him about her predicament earlier? Why didn't he tell her earlier? Why didn't he let her know that he actually had a strong background and that he could help her? She didn't have to betray herself and marry an old man. After knowing that she forced Jiang Zhao to marry her, the Qin and Jiang families were so reluctant. Why didn't she force him? Grandpa definitely wouldn't object. Grandpa would definitely like the girl he liked. Yunwu turned around and pulled Ye into his arms again. She was so soft that she didn't have any strength left. She let him hug her. Looking at her lips, he kissed her again. Awesome novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 501. As he kissed her, he wanted to bite her. His breathing was so rapid that his heart was about to jump out of his chest. Even though she didn't react at all and only breathed, he still felt like he was being seduced. He reached out and slowly pulled up her clothes. A pair of eyes that were as clear as water began to mist, and a hazy smoke rose from them. The tip of her nose was gently rubbing against it. It was so ticklish that even his cells started to itch. Jiang Zhao had been waiting for Zhua Hao's call. Taking advantage of this time, he called Zhuang Yichen. As soon as the call connected, he started cursing, "UF** King psychopath. Why can't you talk about that over the phone? Why must I go to your place? When did UF** King become such a troublemaker?" Zhuang Yichen was stunned by his scolding. Jiang Zhao wasn't a good person, but he wouldn't act vulgar in public. He had never scolded him like that before. Even if he scolded others, he didn't use a real scolding tone. At most, his tone was cursing in a low voice. Thinking back to when he left Zhao Jun, he called to ask about Yun Ye's whereabouts. Feeling that the situation was a little serious, he frowned and asked, "Hey, did you lose the woman?" "Zhuang Yichen, it's good that you're fine. If something happens, I'll F** King kill you." Zhuang Yichen knew that Jiang Zhao wasn't calm at this time, so he didn't argue with him. He stood up with the phone in his hand. "Do you need me to do anything?" At this moment, Jiang Zhao's phone rang. He gritted his teeth and said, "I'm hanging up." "Zhuang Yichen, just you wait." Zhua Hao called. Jiang Zhao picked it up. "How is it?" "Brother, the car's location isn't easy to check. This kind of car isn't afraid of being stolen. The owner seems to be against location tracking. This kind of system has been modified, but the number you gave me wasn't turned off. Her SIM card's location is at Grand Hyatt Hotel." Jiang Zhao's hands clenched the steering wheel. The two of them didn't go anywhere. They went to the hotel and didn't pick up the phone either. His hairline started to sweat. He raised the back of his hand and wiped the tip of his nose. It was already sweating. "Howsy, get a car full of people from the army to Grand Hyatt. Don't let even a fly go. Now, right now." Jiang Zhao felt that his voice must have sounded like a roar. He couldn't calm down. His wife didn't pick up her phone, but she went to the hotel. The Shi family was indeed a big tree. If Xianyo really had feelings for her, what was she up to? He didn't want to believe that she would do such a thing, but the person he didn't believe now was Shi Yunyu. This boy could kill 13 people when his family was destroyed. This boy's hands were stained with so much blood at the age of 8, but he could still clean the filth in his eyes. What a terrifying person he was. Just like Zhuang Yichen said, unless he was so cunning that everyone thought he had no conscience. Brother, what happened? Shua Hao asked nervously after hearing Jiang Zhao's vicious tone. What happened? If it happened, tell Grand Hyatt to get out of Sea City. Yes, and the Shi family. Shua Hao didn't ask for more details. If it's serious, is a car full of people enough? If you think it's not enough, then get 3 to 5 cars. In any case, block all the roads. Jiang Zhao started the car and added, don't mention a word to grandfather. Okay, don't worry. If I can't even do something like this, what kind of brother are we? Jiang Zhao hung up the phone, stepped on the accelerator, turned the steering wheel, and made a U-turn in one smooth motion. The tires screeched sharply on the ground, leaving black tire marks. He almost didn't step on the brakes as he rushed in the other direction of the main road. Jiang Zhao's car made a big turn and changed lanes. Other than the traffic lights, there wasn't much traffic at night. However, people's hearts were very congested. His mind was filled with all kinds of things that happened with her. When they met again, he asked her about the blood stains on the bed and she denied it. He knew that it was her first time and he was drugged. He was also clear about his mental state at the time. It wasn't like he was drugged, so he should have been able to tell the difference between a woman's reaction under his body. But she didn't admit it. He was angry because she didn't admit it. Her refusal to admit it meant that she didn't mind at all. Now, he still remembered her expression. She really didn't mind at all. That expression was like she was bitten by a cat or a dog. He was so angry that he wanted to drown her with alcohol. Later, when they were together, she was no different from the first time. He teased her that the quality of 300,000 yuan a night was too bad, but she still followed him and didn't explain. When he asked her, it was very smooth, but she was still so painful. Obviously, no man had touched her before. She just moaned and stiffened for a long time before she recovered. Sometimes, he felt that she was a mutant of women. How could a woman not care about her first time? The car was driving very fast. He felt that he was as crazy as he was when he just got his driver's license. He would race with his friends to see who could race faster. He would put his younger brother together to play with him. If he was scolded by his younger brother, it would be much lighter. He had been so insidious since he was a child. The people he met were also insidious. When he was a child, it was his elder brother, Jiang Rui. They played tricks on each other and often made trouble for each other. Later, it was his business rival. He didn't care too much about it. Life was just a matter of playing tricks on each other. Otherwise, it would be boring. But now, he had been so patient because of this woman. She didn't let him worry less. She couldn't even rest for a day. Whenever she was free, she would make trouble for him. The car was driving so fast. He felt that he was old because he hadn't driven so fast for many years. The car was so fast that everything flying by outside the window became a line with a light tail. Old. She was still so young, 19 years old. Shi Yunwu, 20 years old. He held the steering wheel tightly, and even his chin was tightly pressed together. When his elder brother and sister-in-law were together, he even patted Jiang Rui's shoulder and said, "Brother, you're an old cow eating young grass." Jiang Rui even kicked him. He added, "But you're still strong despite your age." He was kicked again. Now, he had found someone younger than his sister-in-law. Damn it. Shouldn't the younger ones be more innocent? Didn't sister-in-law ask my brother to make decisions for her all the time? Didn't sister-in-law think for my brother all the time? Why was she so playful all the time? They both proposed. At that time, when sister-in-law proposed to my brother, Grandpa cried every time he talked about it. Why were they so affectionate? Why was there such a big difference in treatment between brothers? He was also proposing to a woman. How did it become a forced marriage? He forced her, but she didn't love him. Wasn't she ruining him? The car shot into the parking lot of Kaiwe. He slammed the door and went straight to the reception. Asking which room did the person who checked in with Shi-yun's name stay. Who in High City didn't know the handsome and rich mayor like Jiang Zhao? What's more, when the mayor asked, it must be a big deal. But after checking the computer, there was no record of Shi-yun checking into a room. It was very difficult. At this time, the sound of high-powered trucks' accelerators rushed in one after another. Even the receptionist couldn't help but look outside. The cars outside stopped one after another, followed by the sound of orderly footsteps. It wasn't messy, but it was loud. Military boots were always so strong and powerful. A security guard ran in. The marble floor was polished like a mirror, and it was a little slippery when he ran too fast. The security guard tried hard to stop and almost fell. He held on to the marble counter and said to Miss in a panic, "Hurry up and find the manager. This is bad. There are 5 military trucks, and there are dozens of soldiers in each truck. Did something happen to our Kaiwe?" Jiang Zhao said coldly to Miss in front of the receptionist, "Give me the CCTV footage. Also get me all the IDs of the people who checked in between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. Zhua Hao was wearing a simple military uniform and walked over. He greeted Jiang Zhao, "Brother." Miss in front of the receptionist was still obsessed with another handsome man. But when she saw the lieutenant colonel epaulette on Zhua Hao's shoulder and his cold face, she was so scared that she immediately listened to Jiang Zhao's words. When the military came to visit, it was different from the ordinary police. They had to show you their IDs. If you dared to say something sarcastic and talk about the law, sorry, those people in the trucks would stomp their feet in unison. Those who were fine would think that something had happened. Jiang Zhao went into the front desk and just looked at the CCTV footage. Miss in front of the receptionist kept checking the records and then reported one by one. Until a name was reported, and Qian. Jiang Zhao looked up at Miss in front of the receptionist, "Show me the scanned ID." Miss in front of the receptionist moved the computer screen and pointed it at Jiang Zhao. When she saw the ID photo, she said, and her eyes were sharp and cold. She took the mouse from Miss in front of the receptionist and slid the wheel up and down to see the room number. She said coldly to the receptionist, "Swipe the spare room card for this room and give it to me." Miss in front of the receptionist didn't dare to disobey. She was afraid that something big was going to happen in the hotel. Jiang Zhao held the room card in his hand and strode out of the front desk. When he passed by Zhua Hao, he said, "I'll call you later. You're downstairs." "Okay." 1326. Jiang Zhao silently recited this number in his heart and watched the numbers of the elevator change one by one. He felt that every second was like a year. The trajectory of his life was almost completely disrupted by this woman called Yunyi. It was a mess. But he would rather continue to live like this in chaos. He didn't know what he was insisting on. With a ding, the elevator door opened. He looked at the numbers on the door and pointed to the direction. Then, he started walking. His steps were fast and big. The carpet was soft, but the sound of his heavy footsteps could be heard. He held the door handle and put the room card that had been warmed up in the sensor area. With a beep, the red light flashed and turned green. He pressed the door handle hard and pushed it open. The moment he pushed it open, he almost wanted to close the door again. The man and woman on the sofa were kissing passionately. The woman's shoulder strap had slipped halfway, revealing half of her fair and round breasts. The woman's clothes had been pushed up by the man on top of her, revealing her graceful waist. The man's hand was caressing the woman's fair and tender legs. Jiang Zhao was a little embarrassed. Just as he was about to go out, Yunwu climbed down from an ant's body. He stood up and tidied his clothes. He looked a little embarrassed. Brother Zhao. Oh. Jiang Zhao responded. He had forgotten the lines in the script. Yi Er is here. And then turned her back and started to tidy her clothes. Yunwu nodded. Sister-in-law fell asleep in the car just now. I don't know where she lives, so I didn't wake her up. She's inside. Jiang Zhao didn't know what to feel now. When he looked at Yunwu, he couldn't bring himself to smile. He turned and went into the bedroom. Yi Er was well covered with the blanket. Her clothed shoulders were exposed. She was in good condition. She slept on her side and seemed to be sleeping soundly. Awesome novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 502. He walked over and touched her face. Kneeling on the bed, he leaned down and kissed her on the cheek. Smiling, he said, "Damn little fox. You scared your husband to death. You slept soundly." As if the person outside the bedroom wasn't there, he took Yi Er's bag from the bedside table and opened it. The phone inside was on, but there were already 3 digits of missed calls. Seeing these numbers, he knew that he was going crazy. He looked at the settings again and saw that it was silent. He threw the phone back into the bag and turned around to lie down. He was really exhausted. At this moment, he didn't want to go anywhere. He just wanted to hold her in his arms. Yunwu stood outside the carved screen. Clenching his fists, he wanted to walk over. And then took his hand and patted it. She looked at him, frowned, and shook her head. Jiang Zhao also felt that there was someone outside. He pulled his arm out from under Yi Er's neck and walked outside to say to Yunwu, "Yunwu, your sister-in-law is sleeping soundly. I won't wake her up. We'll stay here tonight. Why don't you and get another room?" Yunwu's heart was in turmoil. He couldn't speak. They're staying here tonight. What are they staying here for? What will they do? And then held Yunwu's arm. She still looked a little shy. It's okay, Brother Zhao. Yunwu and I will go back to stay. We wanted to wait for sister-in-law to wake up or call you to pick us up. We'll get going first. Okay. We'll have to trouble you then. Jiang Zhao smiled. When the two of them left the room, his smile disappeared completely. He called Zhua Hao and asked him to come up. Zhua Hao entered the room. Jiang Zhao carefully took out Yi Er's phone from her bag. Go and compare my fingerprints. I'll give you mine and Yi Er's later. See who else has it besides ours. Zhua Hao found a slipper cover from the closet at the entrance and put the phone inside. Jiang Zhao didn't believe that Yi Er would mute her phone. She was different from other little girls. She was very vigilant and always worried if someone was looking for her or if there was good news about Yun Hongwei. She wouldn't miss a single message. How could someone who had her phone on 24 hours a day mute her phone before she got home? At this moment, Yi Er heard some movement. She softly said, rubbing her eyes. She saw Jiang Zhao and Zhua Hao standing in the room. Jiang Zhao then asked Zhua Hao to go back first. Yi Er saw that only Jiang Zhao was in the room. She mumbled, "Hubby, did you bring me to get a room?" Jiang Zhao sat by the bed and took off his shoes. He really didn't want to move today. The woman hugged him from behind. When the woman smiled, she said naughtily, "Wow, hubby, why are you so flirtatious today? You actually brought me to get a room." Jiang Zhao turned around. The woman's hair was messy and she was looking up at him. Her eyes were darting around. In his mind, Yunwu's shadow jumped out again. He lifted Yi Er's clothes and skirt and checked them up and down. There were no traces at all. He shook his head and felt that he was thinking too much. When he entered the room, he clearly saw Shi Yunwu and putting on a show of affection. He had caused such a big commotion just now. He wanted to vent his anger, but when he saw her looking at him like that, he couldn't vent his anger. Moreover, she didn't seem to know anything. Did she actually think that he brought her to get a room? Childish. Didn't she know that a golden nest couldn't compare to her own? But if he had really brought her to get a room, would she be so happy? Did she really think that he was flirtatious? He leaned over and bit her breasts. Let's go take a shower. Yi Er didn't know what Jiang Zhao was checking. She only thought that he was flirting again. Hug, hug. Let's not do anything. Just hug. Hubby, hug me. Yi Er hugged Jiang Zhao's neck and refused to let go. She twisted her body and acted coquettishly. When she saw Jiang Zhao's flirtatious look, she wanted to teach him a lesson. This B** tortured her to death. He made her unable to sleep well every day. If he didn't let her have a good time, she wouldn't let him have a good time either. She wanted an eye for an eye. Hug me after you take a shower. Be good. Jiang Zhao couldn't take it anymore after being twisted by Yi Er a few times. When he was looking for her, he had lost a lot of juice. He felt that he must be smelly. No, no. I just want a hug. Yi Er pouted and kept asking for a hug. When she moved, she purposely rubbed against Jiang Zhao. I'm sweaty. I stink. Let's take a shower together. Jiang Zhao's voice was hoarse. He didn't want to lose points in bed because of the smell of sweat. It's not smelly. Hubby doesn't stink at all. Hubby is manly. That's the smell of a man. Let's hug Yi Er to sleep. Yi Er purposely didn't look into Jiang Zhao's eyes. They had a tacit understanding in this aspect. Just by looking at each other's eyes, they knew what he wanted to do. Just by listening to his voice, she knew that he couldn't take it anymore. She wanted him to be unable to take it. Didn't they say that men were creatures with lower bodies? He tortured her psychologically, so she used her soft body to torture him. They were even. Yi Er calculated wrong. She just wanted a hug, but it didn't mean that the man agreed. As they hugged, he took off his clothes. As they hugged, they started doing it naturally. She couldn't resist it. Yi Er came to a conclusion for herself. So women were creatures with lower bodies too. Otherwise, why would her stance be so weak? The hotel's bed sheets and blankets were all white and very eye-catching. Their first time was outside. They had never booked a room outside. It was obviously much more exciting. Now that they were in a new environment, they wanted to challenge different levels. Yi Er couldn't take it anymore. She started to regret that she couldn't resist the man's temptation. She started to regret that she had become a creature with lower bodies. She started to reflect on herself. Tomorrow, she was determined to be a pure and kind girl. She would abandon all her evil desires. She couldn't be a female hooligan in her thoughts. Yi Er was so angry that she couldn't catch her breath. Hey, it's okay. I just want a hug. You're going overboard. The man hugged the woman tightly and patted her butt. He smiled and said, sex starts from hugging. It's not like you don't know. Isn't it better to hug and do it? Won't it give you a sense of security? Bullshit. You're about to die. How can you feel safe? Have you ever seen someone who's about to see the king of hell feel safe? She was about to die because of him. You're about to see the king of hell. Yes. You're about to send me to the king of hell. Be good. That's to make your trip pleasant. Visit more. Later, I'll send you to the heavens to see the Queen Mother. Hubby, if I see the Queen Mother, I won't do it anymore. Otherwise, I'll be crippled. You won't be crippled. Sleep for a night and you'll still be a good man tomorrow. Yi Er was unconvinced. Her face flushed red. You're the good man. I'm not. I'm a beauty. I'm a beauty. Jiang Zhao saw that Yi Er was really unable to take it, so he slowed down. He held Yi Er's head and kissed her on the lips. Thank you for the compliment, wifey. But my beautiful wifey is a man on the inside. Yi Er was furious. Who would do it on the bed? Did he love her and say that his wife was a man? This was too hurtful to her pride. She wanted to resist passively and not cooperate with him anymore. She wanted to let him do whatever he wanted. But her body's reaction was too weak. Even when it was over, Yi Er still ignored Jiang Zhao. She was still angry, angry. She was so angry that she was about to suffer internal injuries. People said that a woman would doll herself up for her lover. Her husband treated her as a man. This was too insulting. Jiang Zhao came out of the shower and pushed Yi Er. What's wrong? I don't want to talk to you. Let's go. Jiang Zhao tore off the bath towel, lifted the blanket and went to sleep. He hugged his woman. Who was the one who was desperately calling for her husband just now? Now that you're full, you're chasing me away. You're also flipping your face faster than flipping a book, right? Yi Er was angry and pushed Jiang Zhao away. Jiang Zhao, where's your face? Jiang Zhao took Yi Er's hand and placed it on his face. He rubbed it in a big circle. Luo, wifey, it's here. Don't you have eyes to see? Can you touch it? Yi Er pulled back her hand abruptly and looked at Jiang Zhao with disdain. I can feel it. I can feel the city wall made of reinforced concrete. Jiang Zhao looked at Yi Er's expression and laughed. Look at you, woman. Hey, Yi Er, tell your husband. What exactly are you? Why do you have so many opinions about your husband? Didn't you say that I'm a little fox? You've already mutated. You're a little fox now. Of course, her heart was very hard. Jiang Zhao, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. As she spoke, she sat on top of Jiang Zhao and hit and punched him. This bastard was saying that she didn't look like a woman. It was too infuriating, too infuriating. The man laughed. Ha, come on. Hey, don't run. Come on. Hey, Yi Er, don't run. Didn't I ask you to come? Yi Er wrapped herself tightly in the blanket. She would be an idiot if she didn't run. The morning after indulging in debauchery was evil. The evil cell phone alarm, the evil morning sun, the evil work, and everything that disturbed his dreams. When he was about to get out of bed, he flipped over and pressed down on Yi Er. He gave her a morning kiss and said, Yi, I'll get someone to tidy up the house today. I'm going to pick up Dad in the afternoon. Call me when you've had enough sleep, okay? Yi Er was shocked. She tried to sit up but was knocked back onto the bed. She saw stars and was in so much pain that her eyeballs were about to fall out. Jiang Zhao's nose started bleeding from the impact. Yi Er didn't have time to care about her own pain. She only knew that bright red blood was dripping onto her face. She was scared out of her wits. Ah Zhao. Yi Er sat up and reached out to cover Jiang Zhao's nose. Her hands were shaking. Ah Zhao, what should we do? What should we do? He's bleeding, a lot. Jiang Zhao sat up straight and raised his head. Before he could say that he was fine, Yi Er jumped off the bed and took out a box of tissues. She took out handfuls of tissues and used them to wipe away the blood on Jiang Zhao's face. Her eyes seemed to be in a daze. What should we do? What should we do? I'll call an ambulance. Wait here, I'll call an ambulance. Yi Er reached for her bag again. Her hands were covered in blood. When she touched the milky white bag, it was a ghastly sight. She couldn't find her phone, so she poured out everything inside. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? Jiang Zhao looked at Yi Er, who kept fumbling around incoherently. He watched as her tears fell as she searched for her phone. He felt terrible. Was it because they had known each other for a long time that they developed feelings for each other? Vixen. He pulled her over and hugged her in his arms. In order to not let his nose bleed, he raised his chin a little and said gently, "Honey, I'm fine. It's just a little nosebleed. What did you think it was? I'll be fine after lying down. Look, it's not bleeding anymore." Beauty novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 503. Yi Er saw that Jiang Zhao's face was covered in blood from her touch. She didn't know that her face was also covered in blood when she wiped her tears, so she made fun of Jiang Zhao's ugly appearance. So ugly, so pathetic, so disgusting. Look at you, you bad guy. All bad guys don't have a good ending like you. You made such a big fuss over a nosebleed. Jiang Zhao didn't care. He hugged Yi Er and rubbed the blood on his face on her neck. He smiled mischievously and said, "Hey, weren't you worried sick just now? Have you fallen in love with me? Yun Yi, don't tell me you've fallen in love with me." Yi Er was stunned. What did he mean? Was he laughing at her? Was he laughing at her for being so worried about him? Was he laughing at her for falling in love with him first? Was he laughing at her for being such a fool? Yi Er snorted and said, "What are you thinking about? Would I fall in love with you? I would never fall in love with a bad man like you. I'm just afraid that if you die, the police will arrest me as a suspect. I don't want to go to jail. I still have a brother to take care of. Seriously, you're so full of yourself." Jiang Zhao's expression turned cold, but it instantly swept away his gloomy and unhappy expression. He exhaled and turned around to press Yi Er under his body. He didn't care about how inappropriate his image was at this moment. He smiled playfully and said, "Let's play a game. How about that?" "What game?" Jiang Zhao looked into Yi Er's eyes and said, "You said it yourself. We don't have feelings for each other and we don't love each other. Why don't we make a bet? Whoever falls in love with the other first loses. How about that?" Yi Er clenched her fists in her heart. "Yin Yi, see. Good job. Luckily, you didn't embarrass yourself by admitting that you've fallen in love with him. Although you've already lost at the starting line, you're still far away. You still have a chance to win, right?" She raised her neck and confidently opened her eyes. She smiled brightly and said, "Okay." Jiang Zhao gritted his teeth and stared at Yi Er for a few seconds. Jiang Zhao looked at Yi Er and said confidently, "Okay." It was as though he had signed a contract with God and would never go back on his word. He told himself to endure it. He couldn't bear to hit her, so he would just bear with it. Just wait and see. One day, this little hussy would fail miserably. She was amazing and self-righteous now. She didn't believe that she still didn't have feelings for him after living together for so long. Those who got married in the past didn't have feelings for each other either. Later on, they were still inseparable. Jiang Zhao went to wash up. They couldn't wear the blood-stained clothes anymore. They waited for Lu Qing to deliver the clothes for them to change into before going to work. After Yi Er woke up, she changed into a new set of clothes and looked in the mirror. It was a long-sleeved t-shirt and jeans. It looked good, but what about her neck? She put down her ponytail and tidied it to cover the two hickeys. Jiang Zhao said that her phone had run out of battery because of Zhua Hao yesterday, so she borrowed it for a while. In the afternoon, she asked someone to return it to her. Yi Er didn't pursue the matter. When she opened the door, she saw that the boy's hand was being held by his girlfriend. Yi Er didn't know if it was an illusion, but the two of them looked like they were a perfect couple. They looked like they were together, but they were apart at heart. The boy smiled at her. It was faint, just like before. She thought that he was an indifferent person. He was usually clean and never worried about anything. He didn't show any emotion even when he was mocking her. She used to wonder what kind of family could raise such a boy. She never thought that someone like grandfather she would raise such a grandson. When those old men talked, it was like they were talking about gunpowder and nuclear bombs. Unwoo, why are you guys here? Yi Er only knew that a large part of her memory was blank. What a coincidence. Yesterday, you fell asleep very deeply. We were the ones who sent you here. Later, Brother Zhao came over. We originally wanted to go back, but we were too tired, so we booked another room. And you smiled faintly. His hand that and was holding tightly tightened. Envin didn't even frown. She let Unwoo squeeze her hand. Last night, when they left this room, Unwoo lost his temper. To avoid making too much noise on the same floor, Envin specially booked another room. Unwoo almost flipped the room upside down. Envin didn't know how to persuade others. She just let Unwoo lose his temper. Envin only thought that if it weren't for the cars of soldiers that came last night, Yunyi would have been young master's woman. Luckily, he stuck some of the concentrated peppermint liquid into Yunye's nose. Otherwise, if Jiang Zhao couldn't wake Yunyi up, who knew how big of a fuss this would have been. So that's how it is. Yi Er felt that she was too stupid. She actually thought that Jiang Zhao brought her out to play. That man didn't know anything about flirting. He only knew how to be coquettish. How could he know anything about flirting? That's right. Unwoo said again, Yi Er, are you hungry? Let's go have breakfast together. Unwoo asked Yi Er to sit down while he went to get the food for her. The breakfast in the 5-star hotel was buffet. And then casually took some sandwiches and milk and sat down to eat quietly. She still looked a little shy and didn't talk much. Yi Er didn't seem to be able to find common topics with N, so she pretended to be curious and looked around. Seeing Unwoo holding a tray and waiting in line in front of the Chinese dishes, he wasn't anxious at all. He didn't have the airs of a rich young master. When someone accidentally bumped into him, he just smiled and told them, it's okay. It attracted a lot of infatuated girls. When Jiang Zhao brought the tray to Yi Er's side, Yi Er realized how attentive this boy was. Single-sided egg, 2 drops of soy sauce on the raw egg yolk, straw. Orange juice, whole wheat bread. Yi Er's breakfast was like this most of the time. He placed Yi Er's portion in front of her. That's right, right? I remember you telling me that it's simple and nutritious. Yi Er took the straw and stirred the egg yolk, mixing the soy sauce and raw egg yolk together. She wrinkled her nose and said, what's wrong with your brain? You can't remember my name, but you remember these things. I didn't say that I didn't remember. You're blocking my way with your words. You're saying that I remember. Even if I don't remember anyone, it's impossible for me to not remember you. After all, customers like you who don't know how to appreciate food are rare. Ha! Yi Er sucked the egg yolk clean and then used her chopsticks to split the egg white into 2 pieces. She stacked them and put them into her mouth piece by piece. She closed her mouth and chewed contentedly. Unwoo looked at the way she ate and said, I remember you saying that you don't change much at breakfast. I thought you were just lazy, but it turns out that you can eat so contentedly. Yi Er took a sip of the orange juice and gently wiped the corners of her mouth with a napkin. She nodded and said, "Yes, I'm like this with everything. Once I've chosen the right food, it's hard to dislike it. Unless it's like a chicken who has bird flu, a pig who has disease number 5, or a cow who has mad cow disease, I usually won't change the food I'm used to. Especially for things like breakfast, it's very difficult to choose something simple and nutritious." Yunwoo's face stiffened. She was like this with everything. She was like this with food and she was like this with people. She had chosen Jiang Zhao, but was being forced to choose him also a choice. Yunwoo was not in the mood to eat. His gaze was fixed on Yi Er's every move. He cut up the bacon and sandwiches on the plate messily and asked, "Yi Er, are you happy after you got married?" Yi Er almost choked. She found it a little funny. After she got married, no one had asked her if she was happy. Zheng Ling didn't ask, Xia Qian didn't ask, and the insensitive Qiu Shaoye never asked either. But Yunwoo actually asked her if she was happy. She nodded. Her eyes shone brightly. "Jiang Zhao is a good man. I'm very happy." Yunwoo lowered his head and held his knife and fork tightly. He simply cut up the food on the plate and completely lost his appetizing look. "Aren't you hungry?" Yi Er was puzzled. Yunwoo said unhappily, "I'm full." After breakfast, Yi Er suggested going to Yunwoo's place to get the painting back. Yunwoo agreed. When they arrived at the Shi family's villa, Yi Er sat downstairs and waited for Yunwoo. She only stood up when she saw Yunwoo come down with a rectangular board in a cloth bag. It was probably a framed painting. When Yunwoo passed it to her, he said disdainfully, "It really takes up a lot of space. I've been wanting you to take it back for a long time." "I'm sorry, the money," Yunwoo snorted. "How dare you talk about money?" Yi Er shut her mouth. He was a rich young master. He didn't lack money. Sigh, was she being too calculative? She wanted to take a look at the painting, so she took it from Yunwoo's hands. When she bent down to open the cloth bag, her hair flew over her face. She reached out to brush it back in disgust. The 2 purple hickeys on her neck were exposed. Yunwoo looked at Yi Er's neck. Images of clothes fluttering in the air and naked bodies of men and women entangled with each other flashed before his eyes. Those images were really torturous. She said Jiang Zhao was a good man. She said she was happy. How could she be so happy? She was happy alone. Yunwoo's clear eyes suddenly darkened. His hand reached out to Yi Er's neck, but then stopped him in midair. "Yunwoo, you're afraid that sister-in-law can't handle the animation. Let Agui help. You didn't rest well last night, so don't do it." Yunwoo turned around, his back facing Yi Er. He looked at An's expression, which was changing unpredictably. Yi Er glanced at the painting in the cloth bag. When she heard An's words, she looked up at the 2 of them and smiled. "It's so light. I don't need anyone to help me. I'll go back first." Yunwoo knew that he couldn't make Yi Er stay. He had to arrange for a car to send Yi Er back. Yi Er didn't want to. It wasn't because she felt inferior living in that kind of place. If she hadn't been with Jiang Zhao, it would have been fine. But now that she was with him, if she was still living in such an old neighborhood, wouldn't her relatives and friends say that Jiang Zhao was like that? Men were always prideful. This was what her mother-in-law had said. Her place was too shabby. If others were to talk about it, Jiang Zhao would be the one to lose face. Yi Er took the painting back to her place. Jiang Zhao had said in the morning that he would send someone to tidy up the new house and pick up her father in the afternoon. She actually couldn't get excited. Logically speaking, at a time like this, she should be so excited that she would cry. But she didn't. She couldn't figure out why she couldn't cry. She still couldn't believe that Jiang Zhao could get her father out so quickly. But she accepted it with a clear conscience. It was as if he was supposed to do it for her. On a day like this where she shouldn't have known what to do, Yi Er was actually in the mood to tidy up the house, clean up, and pack some clothes. They were moving to a new house. Jiang Zhao was the one who took care of the things over there. She didn't care. She only needed to bring some clothes and daily necessities over. That's right. They were moving to a new house. It was a happy day. When Dad was released, he would have a new house to live in. It was great that the family would be together. There was nothing to cry about. What if Dad asked where Mom had gone? What would she say? That she had run away. Welfare, Xinwu 799. Chapter 504. No, Daddy wouldn't ask. Daddy had only asked once, and she had answered perfunctorily. Daddy was smarter than anyone else, he could feel it. Jiang Zhao called a moving company and arranged for someone to help Yi Er move. He was too busy and could not find the time, not to mention that he had to bring Yi Er with him after work. Although Jiang Zhao had indeed hired some people to clean up the house, Yi Er felt that there were some things that he had to put away himself. Otherwise, he would not be able to find them wherever he put them. Fortunately, there were not many messy things, and it was a well-renovated room. With the help of a few part-time workers, they finished packing up in an hour. 10 NJT. When Yi Er arrived at the changing room, he realized that Jiang Zhao's clothes had already filled up his wardrobe. He moved quickly. With so many here, there shouldn't be much left at Ouyang Yan's place, right? Men rarely had as many clothes as him. He actually liked to dress up, right? Although the style of a man's clothes was like that, he had a complete range of colors. Although there were no overly bright colors, as long as he wore them a little brighter, they would be very attractive. The bed was already made and the bedroom door was closed. When Yi Er was looking at the painting, he encountered a problem. What should he do with this nude painting? He couldn't hang it up like a wedding photo, but if he put it away, where would he put it without being discovered by others? He placed the painting on the bed and looked at it carefully. After being framed, it looked high-end. He hoped that this figure would never go out of shape. Yi Er was a little tired. Who asked that man to be so aroused last night and insisted on going all out? She was exhausted. He laid on the bed and wanted to sleep. He turned his head and thought that it was still early. He decided to sleep for half an hour. Jiang Zhao had asked Lu Qing before, and Yi Er had already moved to the 9th mansion. He had to pick up his father-in-law at 5 o'clock, so he had to go back and pick up Yi Er. When he opened the door and lowered his head to change his shoes, he called out happily twice. No one answered him, so he went to look for her room one by one. He guessed that she was packing her things. The room was very clean. He could live in it today. It was pretty good. With a more comfortable house to live in, she would definitely be happier. When he reached their bedroom upstairs, he realized that she was already asleep. She was probably exhausted. He wanted to go over and cover her with something. As soon as he laid down, he saw the nude painting on the bed. It was 1.23 meters long and 70 to 80 centimeters wide. This size would definitely be very beautiful. Looking at the woman in the painting, her naked body was only covered by a thin layer of gauze. Her elbows were bent, covering her breasts but revealing a little curve. Her graceful figure was bent in an extremely seductive arc. The expression on her face was clear, it was the innocence of a young girl. Her legs were playfully hooked as she shook her feet. Her eyelashes seemed to be dyed with rainbow-colored sunlight. Her whole person seemed to be alive. What a detailed painting. In his impression, such an oil painting shouldn't be so thin. It looked like an art portrait. He looked at it for a while before frowning. He reached out and patted Yi Er's butt. Get up. What? Yi Er turned over, still wanting to sleep. Get up. Jiang Zhao's voice was a little louder. Tell me. What are you doing? When did you draw it? Yi Er sat up and looked at Jiang Zhao, who was looking at the painting. He scratched his head and yawned. In the summer. In the summer. Yeah. Jiang Zhao felt gloomy. In short, he didn't feel too good. In the summer, it was before the wedding. It might have been before they met the beautiful woman again. His heart ached, but he still asked, why did you draw this kind of painting? Yi Er said, what's wrong with this kind of painting? Isn't art good? I want to keep it for myself when I'm young. When I'm older and my figure isn't as good, it won't look good anymore. What's in your head? Jiang Zhao looked at the painting. It was beautiful, but it made him angry. Who drew this for you? Was it a man or a woman? It was fine if it was a woman, but if it was a man, how could she be so naked? The more he thought about it, the more he frowned. But there were many women who knew how to draw now, and many of them were good at it. It wasn't like in the past, when it was mostly men who were good at art. Jiang Zhao comforted himself in this way. Yi Er said casually, Unwu. Feeling that the atmosphere was a little too quiet, Yi Er looked up at Jiang Zhao seriously. She realized that his eyes were no longer normal. There were many emotions rolling around in his eyes. Yi Er didn't have the ability to read minds, so she suddenly realized that she couldn't understand. But she knew that Jiang Zhao was angry. Unwu. She Unwu. Jiang Zhao had been sitting on the bed. He stretched his long legs and got off the bed. He held the framed nude painting of Yi Er in his hands, lifted it up, and shook it a few times in front of Yi Er. Yi Er was afraid that the edges of the drawing board would hurt herself, so she retreated in fear. Yeah, that's him. Everything around them was so quiet that it was scary. Yi Er could only hear her own heartbeat and Jiang Zhao's heavy breathing. After a while, she heard him snort coldly. You've already known each other to this extent. Yet they were pretending not to know each other. Did they think that he, Jiang Zhao, was an idiot? We've known each other for more than a year. He's drawn for me a few times, but I've always paid him for it. This drawing was done 2 months ago, but when I went to the Shi family to get it today, he wouldn't take the money. Yi Er had been searching for something else to say. She knew that Jiang Zhao was shaking with anger. She didn't think that there was anything wrong with the drawing, but why was Jiang Zhao so angry? Was it just because he knew Unwu? Was it embarrassing that his wife was drawn by his friend? But when she was drawing, she didn't know about this layer of relationship. If she had known, she definitely wouldn't have gone to Unwu. Jiang Zhao closed his eyes and raised his head to let out a long breath. When he looked at Yi Er again, he raised the drawing in his hand and slammed it against the wall. Yi Er cried out in pain, my drawing. Suddenly, she jumped off the bed to pick up her drawing. Before she could touch the drawing, she was pulled back onto the bed by Jiang Zhao. Yi Er wanted to get up again, but Jiang Zhao had already pounced on her. He pinned her down, grabbed her hands, and clamped her legs with his legs, not allowing her to move an inch. Yi Er cried out in pain, be gentle, it hurts. He drew it for you, and you're so upset. 2 months ago. Jiang Zhao ignored the woman's cries of pain. His free hand pinched her chin and forced her to look at him. Yun Yi. Do you think I'm a monkey? You were already with me 2 months ago. Wasn't that right? You were already in my bed. You were with me, but you stripped naked in front of another man and let him draw you. He saw you naked, and when he saw you again, he pretended not to remember your name. What's the relationship between the two of you? Tell me clearly. Jiang Zhao felt that the past 2 days had been too much of a shock. Yesterday, he finally felt that the danger had been averted, and today, he was being put on a show again. Her nude drawing had been with Xiun Wu for 2 months, and Xiun Wu still had to pretend not to remember her name. If it weren't for Zhuang Yichen's investigation, he would have really thought that Xiun Wu was such a heartless person. How much did a woman trust a man that she would strip naked in front of him? Jiang Zhao, you're crazy. I have nothing to do with him. He's been drawing on Wudong Street for more than a year, and I'm his customer. I've bought his paintings, and he's sketched, painted, and even this oil painting for me. We talk occasionally, and that's our relationship. Yi Er's entire body was in pain from Jiang Zhao's pinch, but she still tried her best to explain. She never thought that Jiang Zhao's attitude would change like this after seeing this painting. His eyes were bleeding. If she had to blame someone, she could only blame herself for being unlucky. Boon Wu and Jiang Zhao's relationship was actually so close. Jiang Zhao, calm down. Boon Wu and I aren't what you think. He only drew for me. There's nothing between us. Don't misunderstand. Yi Er couldn't cry at this time. She was only afraid. She was afraid of Jiang Zhao like this. She was so afraid that she trembled. Jiang Zhao felt like he was going crazy from jealousy and jealousy. Xiun Wu was an artist on Wudong Street. He really had the time. They were obviously very close, but he was pretending not to be close. What was he supposed to think? Jiang Zhao suppressed his voice with the last bit of his endurance. Why did you let him draw you? Yi Er didn't have the space to think of a countermeasure. She could only say what was on her mind. I think he looked very clean and didn't have any bad intentions. I've never seen anyone like him. His eyes didn't seem to have any impurities. I've known him for more than a year. Although I didn't know his name and mistook him for a poor artist, I trusted him a lot and felt very safe. So, you went to Hyatt and got a room. In that room, you slowly took off your clothes and slowly set up the easel. You let him tell you how you should pose to be considered beautiful. Isn't that right, isn't that right? Jiang Zhao was almost shouting towards the end. He couldn't calm down. He couldn't use a calm tone to talk to her. There was no way he could communicate with her. The background of the painting was the decoration of the Hyatt they stayed in yesterday. Every hotel had its own style. The bench she was lying on was the decoration style of the Hyatt. It was such a fine painting, but he had been paying attention to the person in the painting. Now that he thought about it, what if he hadn't found her last night? Hyatt was their old haunt. It was no wonder Xiun Wu wanted to go there. When she was with him, she went to get a room with another man and drew nude pictures. She trusted a man to such an extent. How could he maintain his balance in calm? Yi Er stared blankly at Jiang Zhao, who had lost control of his emotions. She didn't know what to say. What was the situation like at that time? Boon Wu had indeed told her what to do. Seeing that Yi Er was silent, Jiang Zhao let go of her chin. He clenched his fist and punched the springy bed. Yi Er, I want to F***king kill you. I want to kill you right now, do you know that? Jiang Zhao lowered his head and viciously bit Yi Er's shoulder. His wife had told him how much she trusted another man in front of him. But that man was a wolf in sheep's clothing. Ah! Yi Er was in so much pain that she almost couldn't breathe. Strands of pain pierced her brain and broke. It was useless for her to struggle or resist. She knew that the man on top of her could really kill her. She felt her shoulder become wet. There was a sticky liquid flowing down from her shoulder to her back. Her nose was filled with the smell of blood. Jiang Zhao's mouth was filled with the sweet taste of rust. He still couldn't vent his anger. He wanted to bite her to death. Then, it would be good if she died. That way, she wouldn't talk about how good another man was in front of him. Come and see. Shinwu 799. Chapter 505. Yi Er was in so much pain that she couldn't take it anymore. She felt that if the man continued to bite her like this, she wouldn't be able to keep the flesh on her shoulder. She tried to bend her knees to push him away, but she couldn't. Jiang Zhao. You lunatic. B*****. BT. Let go. Yi Er was gasping for air as she finished scolding him. It was too painful, as if a knife was cutting her. Jiang Zhao listened to Yi Er scolding him. After scolding him, she changed her words. The more he bit, the more his teeth ached. His entire face hurt. When she was with him, she would either coax or lie, or put on an act. But behind Shi Yunwa's back, she would say in front of him, "Did you realize that Yunwu is as beautiful as Fei Yan? They both have soft and tender skin." She said that she had never seen someone like Shi Yunwu. He was so clean that he didn't have any impurities. She said that she trusted that man, but she had never trusted him. Never. If I'm a lunatic, maybe ****, then what about Shi Yunwu? What is he? Yi Er thought of Jiang Zhao's crazy reply and also spoke without thinking. He's 10,000 times better than you. He's pure, kind, he's not scheming, he's polite, he's a gentleman. Jiang Zhao was stunned for a long time. He let out a long sigh and rolled off Yi Er's body. He wiped the blood around his mouth and didn't say anything. He didn't even look at Yi Er's injuries. He got off the bed, went to the bathroom with a dull expression, and closed the door. Yi Er heard the sound of the shower turning on in the bathroom. She regretted what she had said. But words were like water that had been spilled. They couldn't be taken back. Jiang Zhao didn't even take off his clothes. He just stood under the shower and raised his head. The water from the top of his head continuously splashed onto his face. He reached out to wipe the water off his face, but it was useless. The water came back wave after wave. The fabric on his body was all stuck to his skin, revealing a bit of the color of his skin. His shoulders drooped, and he looked very weak. The gap between them was indeed too big. He was almost 30 years old, and she was only 19. Their views were too different. He couldn't keep up with her new ideas, and he couldn't understand her art. He felt that he had had enough. If he continued like this, he would be overdrawn. This woman was heartless. No matter how good he was to her, she would not feel that he was good. He had offended so many people. Did she think that it would be easy for someone like Yun Hongwei to be released on medical parole? Even someone from the provincial party committee came out to interfere. Originally, he didn't want to use the Qin family's connections, but he still did. For her, he dragged his family down. In her eyes, he was a bastard. He couldn't be compared to a wolf in sheep's clothing who had drawn nude pictures of her. The bathroom door opened, and he heard the sound. He turned around and saw a patch of red on his woman's shoulder. He frowned and told himself to remain indifferent, just like how she treated him. Otherwise, you would give her your heart and help her think of everything. You would do things for her wholeheartedly and want her to live a happier life, but she would hand you a knife and stab you in the heart. Yi Er walked over and looked at Jiang Zhao. She felt terrible. She suddenly understood. She was his wife, and his brother had drawn nude pictures of his wife. If it were any other man, he wouldn't be able to stand it. Ah Zhao. Yi Er stood outside the open glass door of the shower and called out softly. Jiang Zhao stretched out his hand. Come here. Yi Er stood in the shower, but the moment she stepped in, she stepped back out. It was cold water. It was already the end of autumn, and she couldn't stand such cold water. Jiang Zhao was actually taking a cold shower. Ah Zhao, I'll run some hot water for you. Come here, Jiang Zhao said coldly to Yi Er with a dark face. Yi Er gritted her teeth and stepped into the shower again. Jiang Zhao pushed up her t-shirt. Yi Er was shivering from the cold, but she didn't know what he was going to do. After pushing up her t-shirt, he took it off for her. The cold water splashed against the bloody teeth marks on Yi Er's shoulder. The blood was quickly washed away. Jiang Zhao didn't look there and undid Yi Er's underwear. Then he undid the buttons on her jeans. Yi Er grabbed Jiang Zhao's hand. Ah Zhao, let's change the shower to hot water. It's too cold. It's not cold. He felt that the water was already hot enough. His heart was already cold. How could this little bit of water be cold? I just want to see what I'll do if you strip naked in front of me. Yunyi, I want to see how long you're going to put on this show. Yi Er widened her eyes. You still don't believe me. Jiang Zhao, you still don't believe me. I already said that it has nothing to do with him. Don't talk to me about believing. I want to see if that Xiyun Wu is a eunuch. I want to see if he can draw for hours without blushing when he sees your body. Jiang Zhao really didn't believe him. He didn't know how to build this trust, just like how Yi Er didn't believe him. He knew that Shi Yunwu's tolerance was extraordinary. But Yi Er's body was right there. He didn't believe that a man wouldn't have any reaction at all. Just like now, he saw her shivering from the cold. Streams of water flowed down her firm and round breasts. Her breasts were pink and tender. Her slim waist, sexy butt, and slender legs were white and slender. With such a body, which normal man would be able to look at it properly for a few hours? Could Xiyun Wu do it? No matter how good Shi Yunwu's tolerance was, it was impossible for him to forget after seeing it. His wife's nude painting had been placed in front of Xiyun Wu for 2 months for him to admire and fantasize about. He wasn't that generous. Yi Er didn't have the energy to defend herself. Jiang Zhao was humiliating her. He was completely humiliating her. He stripped her naked and placed her there like a display for him to look at and then waited for his reaction. She watched as his breathing quickened. She watched as he started to take off his shirt, unbuckle his belt, and take off his pants. He was telling her that a normal man would react like this when seeing a woman's naked body. Any man would have the same impulse as him. He was telling her with his reaction that he didn't believe that she and Yunwu were innocent. Yi Er angrily hooked her arms around his neck and then jumped on top of him. She wrapped her legs around his waist and let the cold water wash over her head. You want me, don't you? Come on. The bone-chilling water, the bone-chilling ceramic wall, and the woman being pressed down on top of it to satisfy the man's vengeful carnal desire. After coming out of the bathroom, Jiang Zhao put on a sleeping robe, picked up the painting on the ground, and walked to the kitchen. Yi Er could only hear the sounds coming from the kitchen. She didn't dare to go over. Jiang Zhao raised the painting and smashed it on the marble workbench. It broke in 2 hits. He then used a small knife to lift the painting off the floor and peel it off. He turned on the gas. With a whoosh, a circle of blue flames jumped up. He threw the painting that he had peeled off from the drawing board in his hand. There was actually a crackling sound. As he watched the colorful painting slowly turn charred, Jiang Zhao used the knife in his hand to move the edges that weren't burned by the fire closer to the center. This was a painting of another man, and it was a painting of another man after they were together. This man wasn't just anyone. He was the man that Grandpa and Grandpa called brothers every day. When he saw this painting, he felt the fire in his chest burn even brighter than the flames in front of him. What kind of bullsh T art was this? Bullsh T art. After burning the painting and leaving the ashes, Jiang Zhao returned to the bedroom. Yi Er sat there with a towel wrapped around her. She was in a daze. Jiang Zhao went to get the first aid kit and placed it on the bed. He sat on it, took out an alcohol swab, disinfectant, and sat behind Yi. Without saying a word, he helped her clean her wound. Yi was in so much pain that she was trembling. "Does it hurt?" Jiang Zhao asked. "Yes." "Ouch. It hurts." "Remember if it hurts," Jiang Zhao said lightly. Yi clenched her fists. "I will remember. Don't worry. I won't lose to you." If God gave her another chance, she swore that she wouldn't fall in love with such a man. When he was nice to you, he praised you to the heavens. When he was angry, he used the most intimate way to humiliate you. Jiang Zhao said, "Yes, I won't either." When he got out of bed, Jiang Zhao added, "You'll still be like before. Treat me as someone you have to rely on and someone you have to do your best to please. If you don't suck up to me, your father won't have any hope. Use all your tricks. Don't carry these emotions with you. Otherwise, you'll be in trouble if you fall in love with me," because when that time came, it was very likely that he wouldn't treat her well anymore. She would be very upset. He realized that even so, he didn't want her to be upset when he didn't have her in his heart. "Jiang Zhao, wake up." That night, Jiang Zhao only sent someone to send Yi to pick up Yun Hongwei. He didn't go himself. He didn't need to go. He hated acting with her. That was her father. She should be filial to him. Who was he? He was her son-in-law in name. He had no place in her heart. He helped Yun Hongwei because of her. Otherwise, why would he help? After picking up Yun Hongwei, Yi hugged him tightly and told her father all the hopeful things. She was married and had a new home. She had a big house to live in. Si Jia was going to pick her up on Friday. In the future, they would live together as a family. She was very happy. Jiang Zhao specially arranged for a doctor to examine Yun Hongwei's body. He didn't hurt his internal organs or bones, so he was fine. Yi was relieved. He arranged for Yun Hongwei to stay downstairs, next to Si Jia's room. It was already 11 p.m., and Jiang Zhao still hadn't returned. Yun Hongwei asked, but Yi lied and said he was busy. Yun Hongwei didn't say anything else. He chatted with Yi until 1:00 before going to bed. Yi went back to her room and called Jiang Zhao. She wanted to ask when he would be back. The call went through, but it was Yang Yan's voice. "Hello. Where's my husband?" "He's asleep. Put him on the phone." The next second, Yi heard Yang Yan urging softly, "Phone. Phone. It's Yi. Don't answer it." Jiang Zhao's voice came through. Yi sighed. "I'll go and pick him up." "He doesn't want to see you," Yang Yan said. Yi gritted her teeth and hung up. Yang Yan also hung up. She sat on the floor and leisurely reached out to pluck a grape from the fruit bowl on the bedside table. Behind her, a drunk man was sleeping on the bed. She popped the grape into her mouth and chewed slowly. Thinking back to when she met Jiang Zhao at the restaurant today, she couldn't believe that he would be so drunk without a care for his image. Although it was a private room in the restaurant and no one could see them from the outside, what if someone saw them? It really took a lot of effort to get him back. Even the designated driver said he was too drunk. Yun Yi. How many times did he say this woman's name? He said she had no conscience. He actually got drunk because of that woman. When did he become so useless? It was 2:00 in the morning. Yi couldn't sleep. Beauty novel, Hongcha 866.